Blackhaven is a narrative game based closely on real historical documents and developed by a diverse team of scholars. It should take about 2 hours to complete. Be patient, there's more to the story than just a museum tour. Ja, und mit dieser Einleitung willkommen. Ich bin Nils, das hier ist Telespieltumult. Und heute schaue ich mir mal ein Spiel an, das ich deswegen spiele, weil es dafür vor schon langsam irgendwie 2 Jahren ungefähr einen Podcast gab von Dom Schott. Den habe ich dann gleich abgebrochen, weil ich fand das ganz interessant. Und seitdem wartet der Podcast in meiner Playlist mal irgendwann gehört zu haben, weil ich dann erstmal das Spiel spielen wollte. Wie man gerade gesehen hat, ich weiß, also es ist irgendwie eine Mischung aus so ein historischer Museumstour, aber wohl auch irgendwie Story. Geht, glaube ich, in die Richtung Walking Simulator. Ja, ist sogar umsonst bei Steam zu haben, also kostenlos. Sehr viel mehr weiß ich auch nicht und dementsprechend würde ich sagen, ich gehe nochmal erstmal in die Options. Ich habe eben, dass hier Continue steht, das Spiel ist jetzt vielleicht zum ersten Mal richtig. Das war nur, weil ich eben einmal kurz schon mal drin war und geguckt habe wegen Steuerung und Auflösung und so. Da fällt mir nämlich ein, ich muss, glaube ich, den Look-Speed hier noch etwas senken. Ich spiele übrigens mit Gamepad. Am PC, natürlich. Ich habe ja schon Steam erwähnt. So, New Game. Ja. Okay, dann mache ich jetzt nochmal Start.
Yes, Mom, I'm gonna be here all by myself. Yeah, 'cause they're closed for Flag Day. I don't know if they're gonna be closed for MLK Day too. We start the earliest of any of the HBCUs. I'm never gonna be here for that anyways. Plus, I don't know if I'm even gonna wanna be here. I might just stay in Greece. Psh, yes, you would too come visit me. Yeah, all I do is answer the phones. This is supposed to be a marketing internship, but I haven't even done anything on the website yet. No, I don't know how to make a website yet, but neither do they. I'll get to that in spring semester, after I get back from Greece. All right then, Mom, I gotta let you go. You know how strict they are about being on the phone, and I am a model employee who's getting an outstanding recommendation. Okay, Mom, love you too. Bye. Okay, better go check my email and get started.
Okay. So, und ab jetzt kann ich selber spielen. Man sieht auch diesen Cursor-Punkt jetzt hier in der Mitte. Also, ich bin offensichtlich ja, so eine Art Praktikantin, die jetzt hier ein Praktikum macht, so habe ich das verstanden, ungefähr jetzt hier in diesem Museum. Was mit Griechenland ist mir nicht ganz klar, dass sie da lieber wäre oder auch dann irgendwas nach Griechenland macht, weil das hier wird ja nicht in Griechenland sein, dass das Haus da hinten so komisch aussieht, wundert mich. Ist das ein Grafikfehler? Das Weiße irritiert mich gerade. Naja, nun gut. Okay, ich kann mit dem linken Trigger zoomen, mit dem rechten Stick irgendwas machen und ich kann, wenn ich den linken Analogstick runterdrücke, dann renne ich. Okay, gut. Und mehr geht auch nicht. Ich wollte meine E-Mails checken. Weiß nicht, ist das hier irgendwo? $4 für Erwachsene, $2 für Kinder bis 12 und bis 3 ist es kostenlos. Senioren $2, Veteranen dürfen umsonst rein. Okay.
Good morning, Thomas. I see you up there looking down at me.
Mhm. Okay, den kann ich jetzt okay.
All right, Helen, what you got for me this morning?
Okay. Verstehe. Ich gehe erstmal in meine E-Mails rein. Okay. Fangen wir mal hier oben an. Okay, ein bisschen was zu lesen. Welcome to Blackhaven Hall Stuff von Helen Morris at blackhaven.org, 11:20 Uhr am Freitag. Dear Kendra, let me formally congratulate you on starting your first day at the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society. You should be very proud of yourself to have received this opportunity. I'll be coming by first thing in the morning to go over the basics and give you the tour. But I also wanted to pass along some ground rules for when you are at reception. Also ich bin eigentlich, okay, meine Praktikum scheint hier eigentlich am Empfang zu sitzen und die Museumsleute hier irgendwie ihre Tickets zu verkaufen. Offensichtlich ist eigentlich mein Job. Ich ahne, dass es mehr werden wird und ich jetzt nicht hier nur rumsitze und Tickets verkaufe. Erstens, please make sure you are in your seat, visible and smiling. All shift except for your scheduled breaks. Zweitens, answer every call to the desk with good morning, afternoon. Thank you for calling Blackhaven Hall. This is Kendra speaking. How may I help you? Remember, you are going to be the first point of contact for our guests, so always maintain a dignified tone and no slang. Drittens, a reminder, our dress code is business casual, so avoid any loud colors or accessoires and make sure to keep hair neat. Viertens, you are technically consenting to be filmed by our cameras throughout the day, but I wouldn't fret about it. Will only even looks at those if there's an irregularity with door entries and exits. Fünftens, always follow directions closely. We run a tight ship and don't want to have to ask twice. I think that's about it for now. I look forward to seeing you in just a bit. Zweite Mail. Once again, it's time for your biggest blowout bash of the year. Warte mal, das war von Mittwoch. Ich muss mal kurz das checken. Das war Freitag, das ist Mittwoch. Die habe ich auch beide schon geöffnet gehabt. Ne? Ich habe gesehen, die Umschläge waren schon offen. Celebrating Flag Day in style with all the Blackhaven family. Because the 4th of July is always one of our biggest visitor days of the year, the Historical Society choose another patriotic summer to show our appreciation to all of you. Once again, we'll be celebrating at the Tidewater Country Club, just off Highway 60 past the interchange. We will be grilling Blackhaven style with catering provided by the club, an open bar and plenty of festive activities. Garden party attire is expected. Ladies in white, men in navy, but everyone should bring the most creative start and stripes accessoires. Since most of you Since most of you are members of the club already, also don't forget to bring your swim trunks. And you can see Phil or Debbie if you want to set up tea times before or after lunch. We'll see every last one of you and your families all there starting at 11 a.m. to wave our star-spangled banner for the USA. Helen. Und dann nochmal Helen. Instructions. Hi Kendra, thank you again for holding down for today. Just wanted to pass along your special assignment. I really hope you can get through all these since you have the place to yourself with no visitors. Also irgendwie scheine ich jetzt hier an einem Tag aufzupassen, wo keine Visitors kommen. Okay. Erstens, I heard from our consultant that most of the new apps have completed uploading on our digital guide devices. I'd like you to test the Gallery Quiz app and make sure you can get through it without any issue. Okay, das Quiz wird dann wohl auf mich zukommen. Ich habe hier Block und Stift zufälligerweise vor mir. Vielleicht sollte ich mir auch Notizen machen gleich beim Spiel, um die Tests dann zu bestehen. It also will be good for you to brush up on the museum collections. Zweitens, the new audio tour file should be uploaded, so why don't you try to go up to the big house and test all those out. Make sure to listen to the end of each and let me know. If you notice anything odd, I told maintenance to activate your badge for the house for today, even though it's otherwise locked up. Drittens, if you can get both those done before lunch in the afternoon, I'd like you to continue your document scanning in the archives. so we can finally start getting some of our stuff up on the website. Maybe you'll be able to help us a little with the coding. Can you hit the following folders? I've pulled the boxes for each and left them out in the archives for you. Thomas Harvard Papers, Folder 18, Anna Harvard Papers, Folder 9, Archaeological Reports, Folder 6. Make sure you read through each of the pages before scanning to make sure they are all legible. And please don't skip any pages! I've left the archive key for you at the front desk. When you're finished, please return it to the top desk drawer in my office. Your badge won't open any of the doors in the office wing after 5 p.m., so it's very important to get it returned before then. Also, the security cameras will be on today, so don't get any wild ideas. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Between you and me, you are really the lucky one, not having to listen to our Danners go on and on at the picnic. Okay, ich habe das Gefühl, es ist der Flag Day, und alle anderen sind an diesem Flag Day und grillen und ich muss hier um das Museum quasi ein bisschen das Museum hüten. Okay, ich wollte noch gar nicht ganz weg. Okay.
Alright, I'll start by testing the gallery quiz. Let me grab a charged digital tour guide.
Ich wollte ihn sowieso nochmal benutzen, weil ich wollte. Komme ich nochmal irgendwie. Okay, gut. Kann ich den Webbrowser benutzen? Okay, da sehe ich sogar eine Seite. Aber ich kann hier jetzt nicht mehr. Okay, das ist eher Deko, habe ich das Gefühl. Ich kann hier nicht groß irgendwas machen. Ist im Mülleimer irgendwas Spannendes drin? Okay, da darf nur der Admin ran. Okay, gut, dann kann ich hier, glaube ich, doch weg. Und ein Badge. Mit Kendra Turner. Hier soll doch ein Schlüssel sein, oder? Ja, okay. Ach, da sind die Digital Guides, okay.
Okay, got it turned on. How much did they pay to get their logo on here? Let me get my headphones.
Wie... Ich fühle mich fast ein bisschen wie bei Shenmue hier mit den ganzen Schubladen, die ich öffnen darf. Oh, da ist ein Folder. Ups. Dear Catherine, let me formally congratulate you on starting your first day at the Blackhaven Historical Society. We are proud to have such an accomplished young scholar join us for the summer. We try to keep things pretty casual here, but I wanted to pass on some guidelines to help you out the first days. Make sure to flash that smile of yours at guests and give them some of our renowned Blackhaven hospitality. Answer every call to the desk. Blah blah blah. Reminder to dress. Blah blah blah. I'm sure you won't have any problem with anything else unexpected. After 2 semesters at W&M, you may be ready to teach us a thing or two. Warmly, Alan Morris, Director von der Blackhaven Society. Okay. Oh, next page? Ich glaube, das gibt's ja gar nicht. Okay. Kann ich das einfach
I
öffnen?
need to test the gallery quiz first.
Ach so, okay, sie achtet auch darauf, dass ich die Reihenfolge halte. Wo habe ich denn aber meine Kopfhörer denn bitte? Oder ich habe ja keinen... ich kann die Broschüren hier auch lesen. It's your day. On your special day, there is no reason to take chances. Let us ensure a perfect ceremony in one of Virginia's most picturesque and historic estates. You can enjoy peace of mind knowing you trusted Blackhaven's centuries-long tradition of putting love and family first. Services. Only one wedding per weekend. Catering for up to 100 tables. Garden chairs. White lines. Tenting up for up to 100. Dedicated coordinator. Parking attendees. Set up and clean up. Okay. Grand Hall, Ballroom. Grand Hall, history and the future at your fingertips in the sun-drenched space. Ballroom, dance in the footsteps of America's founders and walk together through the famed Defiant Gate. Visitor Center, da bin ich gerade. Perfect for receptions with a stunning view and comfort no matter the weather. Pavilion, stretched out on the lawn with picnics, tents and garden chairs. Okay. Das ist also, wenn man da heiraten will, offenbar. Was ist das? Ah, das ist die Self-Guided-Tour. Ah, das ist doch gar nicht so schlecht. Okay, Blackhaven Grounds. Jetzt weiß ich gar nicht, bin ich da ganz unten oder bin ich da oben? Da war das eine Haus, was ich gesehen habe. Wahrscheinlich bin ich in dem Ding da oben, ne? Front Entrance, Front Foyer, Ballroom, bla 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 bla, okay. Gut. Blackhaven Hall, through the centuries. Heads of the Hardwood family. Nathaniel Hardwood, 640. Blackhaven Plantation founded, 640. Christopher Harwood, 658. Samuel Harwood, 1713. Thomas Harwood, 1757. Thomas Harwood signs a draft of the Declaration of Independence. Was geht hier, glaube ich, ist das das Haus, wo die Unabhängigkeitserklärung damals unterzeichnet wurde? War da nicht auch George Washington bei und so? Ist das das, wo quasi Day of the Tentacle nicht auch spielte? Egal. As alternate delegate from Virginia 1776. British Raiders burn Blackhaven Hall during the Battle of Blackhaven 1781. Ja, 1776 war Unabhängigkeitserklärung, wenn ich mich gar nicht täusche, oder? Da sieht man rechts, Blackhaven Hall Art and Furnished are saved, reportedly by Farmer Joe. William Harwood, 1791. William Harwood constructs Oakmont Plantation on the former Blackhaven lands. Timothy Harwood, 1815. Frederick Harwood, 1863. Heir to Blackhaven, Gideon Harwood is killed in action fighting bravely in the Civil War. 1864, okay, der Bürgerkrieg, der amerikanische, okay. 1876, Anna Harwood, Blackhaven Ladies Remembrance Society founded by Anna Harwood, widow of former Blackhaven hier Gideon Harwood. Jetzt müssen wir gucken, es sind rechts Frauen und an den links sind Heads of the Harwood Family und rechts Directors of the Historical Society, okay. 1915 Benjamin Harwood, 1887 Solomon Harwood, 1915 Blackhaven Historical Society founded by Benjamin Harwood, 1938 First Museum Building constructed, 1938 John Rutherford, den Namen kennt man doch auch, oder? Ist er nicht auch ein Präsident gewesen in Amerika? 1941 Lewis Harwood, 1947 Rosemary Lambert, 1971 Charles Harwood, 1978 New Museum Gallery and Archives completed, after 1976 Bicentennial Groundbreaking, 1982 David Reynolds, 2012 dann meine tolle Chefin Helen Morris und 2014 Thomas Harwood, der Dritte. Und rechts sieht man die Glass Restoration of Blackhaven Hall completed. Das war, was ich gerade gesehen habe, was glaube ich aussah wie ein Grafikfehler. Huh? Ach. As our enduring legacy continues into its 4th century, we want to extend our deepest welcome to every guest of the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society. We hope you enjoy the same lasting impact the Harwood family has had on all of Virginia. Da sieht man dann Thomas Harwood III., CEO von H-Corp Industries, 11th Head of Blackhaven and Oakmont, und Helen Morris, 6th Director of the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society. Okay. Aber ich kann ja noch nirgendwo. Das gucken wir nochmal erstmal ein bisschen um. A scale model of Blackhaven Hall Plantation. Press the surrounding buttons for a virtual tour. Ballroom Wing. Ah, okay, das ist da. Servants Quarters. Die. Kitchen. Was ist das? Laundry, Smokehouse and Dovecote. Garrett's Haus. Die Stelle. Und der Büchereiflügel. Okay. Okay, gehen wir mal kurz in den Giftshop. Das ist wirklich. Ist das Haus, wo. Das ist das Haus, wo die Unabhängigkeitserklärung unterzeichnet wurde, oder? Ist das wirklich auch das, wo Day of the Tentacle spielt? Oder habe ich Day of the Tentacle? Das ist ein paar Jahre her. Aber das ist doch auch, wenn man da in die Vergangenheit reist mit Haugi, glaube ich, ist das, oder? Dann ist man doch auch. Ist das dann nicht dasselbe Gebäude? Oh, hier gibt es viele Bücher. The Harwoods of Blackhaven, the ingenuity and elegance of a truly American family. Blackhaven ablaze, how one fiery night changed the course of the American Revolution. Oakwood Plantation, Rosemary Lambert. Christmas at Blackhaven Hall. Blackhaven Hall Cookbook. Harwood selected letters, our present crisis early writings. Master your life. Lessons of leadership and taking control of your businesses. Colonial dolls for every girl. Pick the one that looks like you. Okay. Ja, die Haarfarben ändern sich immerhin. Wenn man halt schwarz ist oder asiatisch, dann wird es schwierig, hier die Puppe zu finden, die so aussieht wie man selber. T-Shirts. Okay. Oh, das Buch hatten wir noch nicht. It's Everyone's Place to be Brave. The Story of Farmer Joe by Linda Harwood. At Blackhaven Hall, everyone had a place. The blacksmith's place was to hammer. The maid's place was to clean. The carpenter's place was to saw. The cook's place was to cook. And it was Farmer Joe's place to farm. The Harwood family owned Blackhaven Hall. Thomas Harwood and his wife Sarah lived in Blackhaven, and so did their daughters, Eleanor and Elizabeth. They each had a place too. Sarah's place was to keep track of the house. Eleanor's place was to look beautiful for her husband to be. Oh mein Gott, das war ein konservatives Buch hier. And Elizabeth's place was to learn her letters. It was Thomas' place to do many things. As the owner, it was his place to grow the food. Na, wenn er es mal selber gemacht hat. As a leader, it was his place to write and speak. And as a patriot, it was his place to be brave. One day, bad news came to Blackhaven. The king across the ocean, also der englische König sicherlich, wanted to take away everyone's freedom. He was going to send soldiers to America and make everyone do whatever he wanted. Thomas was very brave. He said he would lead other Virginians to protect everyone in Blackhaven. He said they would fight if they had to. Farmer Joe heard about the danger. He wanted to help. He told Thomas, I want to come with you and the Patriots. I want to be brave too. Thomas was very kind. He told Farmer Joe, I'm sorry, it's not your place to be brave. Farmer Joe begged, but I want to protect America. Just then Elizabeth came with her pet Robin, a beautiful songbird. Thomas told Farmer Joe, sometimes we don't always like our place. Look at Elizabeth's Robin. When she found him, he was hurt and alone, and she helped make him better. You might think we should let the robin fly away, but he doesn't know how to take care of himself. It's the robin's place to sing beautiful songs, and it's our place to take care of him. Schwierige Moral hier in diesem Buch. Das war sicherlich absichtlich. Thomas continued to Farmer Joe, you want to help, but it's not your place to be brave. It's your place to farm and to grow the corn and the wheat that we will sell to the army, and the soldiers will be strong enough to protect us from the king. That is more than enough help to be proud of. A few weeks later, in the middle of the night, the king's men came to Blackhaven by surprise. They sailed up the river in a large ship and woke all the Harwoods up from their sleep. "Give us Blackhaven Hall and all the food you've grown," yelled one of the king's soldiers. Thomas was so brave. "We will never let you take our freedom away," he yelled back. But there were too many soldiers for the Harwoods. They shot their cannonballs at the walls of the house. They shot their bombs in the air. One of the bombs exploded through the window. Farmer Joe heard the noise and came running. Blackhaven was on fire. The fire burned incredibly hot, and all of the family had to run away. They were all very sad. "What will happen to our beautiful house?" said Thomas. "What will happen to our memories?" said Sarah. "What will happen to my dear Robin?" cried Elizabeth. Sarah wanted to be brave, but she knew it was her place to be a mother. Thomas wanted to be brave, but he knew it was his place to be a father. Even Elizabeth wanted to be brave, but her parents knew it was her place to grow up and get married. Oh my God. Farmer Joe saw how sad the Harwoods were. He wanted to help. He knew his place was to farm, but he cared more about the Harwoods because they had always been so kind to him. Farmer Joe was not going to wait any longer. He ran into the house, even though he could feel the heat and could hardly breathe from the smoke. He carried out pieces of beautiful furniture so that the Harwoods would not lose what they had worked for. He ran in again and carried out their family pictures so that the Harwoods would always have their memories. And even though fire was getting hotter and hotter, he ran in and carried out Elizabeth's dear Robin, because it was her place to take care of him. Ich dachte, sie soll heiraten. Na gut. The Harwoods could not believe it. They all hugged Farmer Joe before escaping into the night. Blackhaven Hall burned completely. Okay. The Harwoods went to live with friends who could keep them safe. A few weeks later, news came. The Americans had defeated the king. America would be free. Eventually, the Harwoods went back to the farm. They were so grateful that they were all together and that they were all safe. But they also remembered Farmer Joe. He had returned to farming, and the family knew he did not want a special reward just for doing the right thing. But the Harwoods wanted to thank Farmer Joe. Thomas went to Farmer Joe and said, "Each of us at Blackhaven Hall knows that we have a place, and even though your place is to farm, you loved us all enough to run into the fire. I once told you that it was only some people's place to fight for freedom, but you showed me that I was wrong. Now I know." Ich habe irgendwie ein Achievement bekommen. It's everyone's place to be brave. Okay. Gut, okay. Ach, da darf ich nicht hin, da ist ein Invisible Wall. Darf ich auf Toilette gehen? Nee.
I need to test the gallery quiz first.
Ja, das ist ja richtig, aber...
I need to test the gallery quiz first.
Ja, aber wie? Habe ich irgendeinen Knopf übersehen? Nö. Ups.
I need to test the gallery quiz first.
Ja, nur ich brauche meine Kopfhörer. Wo sind die denn? Da, warte mal, nee, das ist das Telefonkabel. Da, warte mal. Ich hab doch gerade gesehen... Ach Gott.
To the gallery. Let's get this quiz going.
Okay. Ist jetzt zufällig grün, wo ich hin soll? Nee. Warte mal, das ist die Tour. Das ist die Gallery, okay. Oh Gott, viel Text.
Gallery quiz. Got it. Oh, how beige. Okay, scan the object that answers the question.
Who added
First one, let's get this.
who added the famous columned porch to the Blackhaven Hall? Okay. Schauen wir uns noch weiter die Texte an hier. Wenn wir schon hier im Museum sind, dann lesen wir auch den Kram. Blackhaven Hall, humble beginnings, hard work and the American dream. Our story begins with American initiative and ingenuity. In 645, Nathaniel Harwood smartly purchased a group of underperforming farms after a surprise attack by roving Indians massacred many of the owners. He called his new estate Blackhaven, likely after a shady inlet near the riverbank, but possibly because the farm had already played host to so many dark events. Ich bin mir jetzt auch nicht sicher, ob das jetzt hier das mit der Unabhängigkeitserklärung war oder ob das jetzt irgendwie der Ort war, wo die Engländer zuerst angegriffen haben. Weil das kam mir eben vor mit den Kanonen und so. Naja. 1697, refusing to accept mediocrity, Nathaniel made Blackhaven's lands more productive than ever, and in 1697, his son Christopher built a modest brick house which he named Blackhaven Hall. Christopher adopted the swan as a symbol of Blackhaven, remembering the noble birds that once swam in a nearby pond during his childhood. 1734. Was ist die Frage? Who added the famous columned porch? Blackhaven rose to true greatness under the visionary Samuel Harwood, die ganzen Harwood-Namen, who labored to greatly expand the plantation's workforce, earning a sizable fortune for his efforts. In 1734, he expanded Blackhaven into a proper mansion with an imposing columned facade and richly carved interior. Also warte mal, das ist also doch von Samuel Harwood, oder? Der hier. Das probiere ich jetzt mal.
Literally
Correct.
the first painting. Not too tough so far.
Okay.
Which one is Sarah again? Is she the kid?
Nee, das Kid war Elizabeth, oder? Which piece of furniture matches Sarah's dress in the Harwood family portrait? Okay. Schauen wir mal. 1770. Now known as one of Virginia's finest homes, Blackhaven would attain its final grandeur under the great patriot Thomas Harwood, who added two. Thomas war der in der Geschichte eben, ne? Thomas Harwood, who added two flanking halls in 1770. One on the south, an edifying library for his massive book collection, and to the north, a lively ballroom for his beloved wife Sarah. Ja, Sarah ist nämlich die Mutter, die Frau von ihm, also die Mutter von Elizabeth. Warte mal, wie viel Texte ist es? Gibt es hier weiterhin ganz viel Text oder ist das? Nee, okay. Da ist ja nur am Anfang so super viel Text. Dedicated to our preserving past. For over 100 years, the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society has preserved the legacy of the Harwood family and their commitment to American liberty and enterprise. The BHHS began following a series of local commemorations for the 1876 US centennial, when Anna Harwood, great-granddaughter of Samuel and grandniece of Thomas, organized the first meeting of the Blackhaven Ladies Remembrance Society, which assembled each year to share stories and connect families with colonial heritage. Anna's son Benjamin carried on the spirit and formally founded the Blackhaven Historical Society in 1915, which sponsored annual lectures at Oakmont Plantation and began fundraising for a proper museum. In 1938, the BHHS received funding from the Work Progress Administration and built a small one-room museum at the current site, modeled after Thomas Harwood's one-room farm office. After many successful years, in 1967, the society challenged its patrons to raise funds for a modern museum to commemorate the national bicentennial. The society broke ground on time in 1976 and our current museum opened its doors am 4. Juli 1978. Das ist Thomas Harwood, last master of Blackhaven Hall. Museum, a Plantation Ground, Thomas Harvard Memorial Gallery 1938, Blackhaven Hall Plantation Museum, das war dieses erste kleine Einraummuseum, ne? So, ich kann ja auch falsche Sachen scannen, das will ich aber nicht. A refined and revolutionary household. There was never a place of greater refinement, said one visitor to Blackhaven Hall, which by the end of the 18th century was arguably Virginia's greatest private home. Our galleries reflect only a small selection from the once luxuriously appointed rooms at Blackhaven. The result, the peerless discretion and good taste of Thomas and Sarah Harvard, who commissioned and purchased the work of fine craftsmen from throughout the colonies, and even traveled to London to keep their home filled with the latest fashions. The society collections of furnishing and decorative arts is a result of many generous donors, including multiple families descended from Harvard themselves. Also ich bin mir gerade gar nicht sicher. Vielleicht ist das hier auch alles fiktiv. Und also, weil es wird, glaube ich, schon in eine Richtung gehen, es ist auch hier wieder, dass das alles hier dass die das hier alles aus den Kolonien zusammengesammelt haben und so wird kaum hinterfragt, ja, das ist hier schön und da haben sie ihre ganzen Mode gehabt, aber dass das hier alles mit im Hintergrund mit Sklavenarbeit und so weiter ist, das war alles, ja, die Leute haben halt ihren Platz, wie es in diesem Kinderbuch so schön hieß. Aber ich kann mir vorstellen, dass es noch so einen gewissen Turn hier alles bekommt. From the pen of Thomas Harvard. Thomas Harvard was a prolific writer, but many of his works have been lost to the ages. Nevertheless, the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society is a proud owner of the civil leader's most important writings. The collection below includes letters from Harvard's wide network of correspondence, as well as his account book from the early 1770s. Portraits von Thomas Harvard. Ganz viel Geschirr. So, jetzt haben wir hier which die Frage kurz, which piece of furniture matches Sarah's dress in the Harvard Family Portrait? Achso, da muss man erstmal das Family Portrait suchen. Wo haben wir das denn? Ich glaube, ich werde jetzt nicht mehr alles hier lesen. Wie in einem richtigen Museum. Ah, guck mal, da haben wir das Family Portrait.
Oh, hey there.
Ja, da ist eine Sklavin schon mal.
This is the first time it's ever been just you and another black girl here. What stories must you have about these people?
Ja, und wie man ja gesehen hat, anhand des Tickets, was ich habe, ich bin ja selber auch eine schwarze Frau. Das heißt, das ganze Thema, glaube ich, dass das Thema Sklaven, Kolonien und so oft nicht richtig aufgearbeitet wird, ist hier, glaube ich, ein Thema. Also, schauen wir mal hier in die Dings. Sarah ist Nummer 5. 6 Unknown Servant, ja. 4 ist Isaac, der Kleine. 3 ist Elena. Und 2, ja, ist Elizabeth. Und 1 ist Thomas. Elizabeth, die mit ihrem Papageien, der aber hier auf dem Bild nicht drauf ist. Das heißt, das Dress ist aber, das müsste dann das Gelbe sein. Gibt es ja noch mehr Möbelstücke? Ne, da ist schon der Ausgang. Das nochmal, aber... Ja, das muss doch von die Bank sein, oder nicht? Okay.
For when you want to sit up really straight with two friends. Servants, huh?
Which ceramic was discovered in the ruins of the servants' quarters? Kann man das direkt erkennen? Nee, das ist hier, das ist keine Keramik. Ach, hier ist Keramik. Excavated from servants' quarters at Blackhaven Hall. Porcelain. Archaeologists at Blackhaven were stunned when they unearthed this broken but complete teapot while digging at the site of servants' quarters. Also the teapot, okay. Far too fine for the simple concerns of staff, researchers eventually determined it belonged to the porcelain collection already at display in this very gallery. No one can be certain how the teapot got so far away from its rightful owners, but one theory suggests a clumsy servant may have broken it and hidden it away to avoid taking responsibility. Ja, dann ist es halt das hier natürlich.
I like this better than the unbroken ones. I bet there was more to this story. So aside from anything these people made up,
what is the oldest fictional publication in this gallery? Also das war ja von 1970. Aber das war ja nicht fictional. The New World's Greatest Library. Thomas Harwood has long gone unrecognized as one of the most learned men in America. His staggering intellect was fueled by his collection of thousands of books, at one time the largest library in the entire colonies. Thomas' interests were universal, with books on poetry, drama, history, architecture, agriculture, travel, economics, astronomy, botany, and optics. Tragically, the majority of these volumes were destroyed along with Blackhaven, but thanks to Harwood's famed generosity, a few volumes he had graciously loaned to friends survived to be part of this exhibit. Was haben wir denn hier? The Gardener's Calendar 1751. The Work of William Shakespeare 1709. The Architecture of Andrea Palladio 1721. The Elements of Astronomy 1715. Aber das sind ja keine fiktiven. Das sind keine fiktiven Bücher, oder? Was ist das? Champion of Liberty. Thomas Harwood was a fierce supporter of individual liberty and promise of American dream. His love of English culture initially left him reluctant to support the Massachusetts rebels, but when Governor Dunmore threatened freedom and local property rights in Virginia, Thomas became an enthusiastic revolutionary, even paying to publish his pamphlet, Our Present Crisis, where he penned his own famous phrase. 75. Ist das die Spendenbox? Irgendwelche ausgegrabenen Sachen? Hier gibt es eh gar keinen QR-Code. Bin verwirrt. Warte mal, was ist das hier noch? Legend of Farmer Joe. The popular Blackhaven legend tells of Farmer Joe, a loyal hand who rushed back into the burning house to retrieve its treasures, dragging them one by one onto the lawn until the smoke was too thick to continue. Historians have debated the authority of the story for decades, and the first mention of Farmer Joe only appears in the memory of Rebecca Harwood, written shortly before the Civil War. 18th century records to list one worker, a Scottish-Irish immigrant named Joseph Murphy, on the Blackhaven payroll, who might indeed have contributed to the legend of Farmer Joe. In the years since, Farmer Joe has attained the mythic status as a folk hero and is usually pictured defiantly brandishing a pitchfork and a lantern. Ich nehme an, ich würde mal sagen, das.
Oh. Come on.
Aber also wenn ich von denen die Elemente der Astronomie ist doch nicht fictional. Architekturkram ist auch nicht fictional. The Works of Mr. Shakespeare, obwohl das ist das älteste und das könnte sogar auch fictional sein, oder? Okay, gut.
Oh, Othello. It's like 9th grade all over again. Except Miss Hayes isn't looking right at me asking if anyone understands where Othello is coming from. He's made up, right? So doesn't that mean all of them? Or none of them?
Ach so, which object might have been used by Farmer Joe? Ja, diese Fork, ne? Oder das hier, was ist das? Punch tin lantern, unknown artist, recovered from the site of the large tobacco barn. This lantern has a treasured place in Harvard family lore, as it was rumored for many decades to have been the one carried by the folk hero Farmer Joe during the Battle of Blackhaven. Its actual origins are unclear, as records show it was first discovered sitting in an old barn on the property in the late 19th century. Also, unlike the glass lanterns often depicted in popular images of Farmer Joe, punched tin lanterns were designed primarily to protect a lit candle from the wind while outdoors, rather than to provide one with illumination.
Somehow, this doesn't seem like it'd be very bright.
Which
This
object
one has got to be easy.
used to sit atop Blackhaven Hall? Das hier, oder? Der Wetterhahn.
This is not doing it for me. No bald eagle available? Although swans definitely did some messed up stuff in mythology, says my A+ in that class. This is a real bougie way of saying fake.
What object is the only modern reproduction in the gallery? Hatten wir da schon was? Ich bin jetzt gerade unsicher. Ah, das ist eine Reproduction, da steht's ja auch.
This lets you see all the stuff you already got, only lower quality. Watch out, guests, we got a math question.
Which candlesticks are younger than Elizabeth Harwood? Warte mal, Elizabeth Harwood. Candlesticks? Ach so, hier. 1701, 1775, 1727. Das war aber 1780. Das heißt, und Sarah ist da vielleicht, dann ist Sarah ist so 1790 oder so vielleicht Jahrgang. Also, ich meine von denen ja am ehesten das, oder nicht? Aber eigentlich? Okay.
Are we sure one of these didn't burn down Blackhaven?
What did Thomas Harwood write to respond to the Virginia governor? Das war doch das hier, oder? Achso, das kann es nicht sein, weil das hat ja gar kein Ding. Sorry, war das Ding hier? Ja, doch, das war das.
So, is he saying nobody my age gets to be free? I was gonna be like the couch, but we already did that one.
Which artifacts pair nicely with Blackhaven tobacco? Pipes, oder?
Where are the Blackhaven vapes at?
You did it! You completed.
Yes, I've won absolutely nothing. This is why I'm running stuff today. Now I'm about to go check this off my list for Helen.
Okay, kann ich gleich machen. Reclaim the past, build for the future. We refuse to let our heritage disappear. Your support makes sure it never will. Consider giving today. Oh, das war eine langsame Schwarzblende. So, ich bin schon bei 50 Minuten hier. Ich hoffe mal, es
I
gibt
need to go
jetzt
check the quiz off my list at reception.
weniger zu lesen.
Quiz is done. Literally the first person to pass. Time to head outside and get that audio tour.
Okay. Audiotour. Aber outside? Oh, Telefon.
Good morning. Thanks for calling Blackhaven Hall. This is Kendra speaking. How may I help you?
Oh, hi there. I had a question. Is Catherine there? I usually like to talk to Catherine.
I'm sorry, she's not working today.
Well, that's fine. I'm sure you can help me, Sandra. See, the thing is, I have a question about Thomas Harwood's military service. As you know, in 1765, Thomas Harwood was listed as captain of the county militia, who, by all accounts, wore the traditional pewter waistcoat buttons. But at a local auction, I have come across a brass button claiming to be from Harwood's unit. So what I need you to tell me is...
Actually, sir,
Because what I was thinking was, maybe this button is not from the county militia, but from the county enlistment of U.S. regulars.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you know, in Blanchard's, he shows that, wait, actually, the French scouts who were stationed with the U.S. regiment did have brass buttons. And they camped at Blackhaven in 1781, so that explains it.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Deidre, you have just been a huge help to me. Just absolutely fantastic. I cannot thank you enough. Keep up the good fight. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi.
You're welcome.
Muss also kurz gucken, wie ich heiße. Kendra. Ja, der auch eben meinen Namen nicht so drauf hatte. Okay. Aber muss ich jetzt hier reingehen? Weil hier ist doch die Audiotour.
I'm all ready, so I should head outside to the main house.
Okay, also da muss ich hier raus, oder was?
Ooh, finally my chance to read up on Blackhaven all by myself.
Das habe ich schon gemacht alles.
Okay, back to start. Audio tour.
Scan the QR code on any plaque to hear a guided...
This is totally gonna ruin my Spotify. Don't hate the view. Let's do this.
Welcome to the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society audio tour. I'll be your host throughout your journey into the world of Thomas Harwood, America's forgotten founding father. You can begin walking towards the house now. We recommend you take the path on the left. You can pause or restart each tour stop at any time by using the touchscreen on your personal digital tour guide. Once a stop is finished, just scan the QR code on another plaque to continue. Your digital device will show you the remaining stops you have left to visit. You can also rescan any plaque to hear its tour stop again. For the moment, let's forget the present and travel back to 1781, at the height of the American Revolution. You're now walking along the same grand entrance path that guests to Blackhaven took towards the mansion, after passing through the gate of the large brick wall that surrounded this yard. Blackhaven was not always so imposing. In the 1600s, this land was used mostly by small tobacco farmers who bravely crossed the ocean to start new lives in Virginia. But on a misty night in 1644, many of those lives ended when a band of treacherous Indians launched a sneak attack, ruthlessly killing even women and children. Still to this day, Some say you can see the ghosts of these families trying to find one another, some even without their scalps. These stories didn't intimidate Nathaniel Harwood. He smartly purchased discounted lots and began the story of Blackhaven as we know it. We'll continue our tour at the top of the hill.
Damn, are they all gonna be that long? Or have ghosts?
Gute Frage. Ja, es ist schon sehr, man merkt schon sehr, das ist natürlich ein bisschen holzhammerig, aber es ist schon schön, wie das hier so ein bisschen zeigt, wie halt Geschichte oft also die Geschichte, wie wir sie oft erleben, wir Weißen, sage ich jetzt mal, halt von Weißen geschrieben wurde. Auch hier diese bösen Indianer und so, wo man natürlich denkt, da steckt wahrscheinlich ein bisschen mehr dahinter, abgesehen davon, dass es sowieso halt ursprünglich ihr Land war. Ähm, okay, keine Ahnung. Auf der Karte war dann doch die eine Nummer das hier und alles andere ist dann da. Ich sollte ja den linken Weg gehen, wie es hieß. Ist da ein Tier? Nee. Das Spiel hat leider offensichtlich, zumindest bei mir, kein Anti-Aliasing. Deswegen sorry für die krassen Kantenbildungen hier teilweise an den Zäunen oder auch an dem Gebäude da hinten. Es ist, wie es ist. Es ist aber schon schön, dieser Museumsflair. Also das kommt mir auch, ich erinnere mich ich muss gerade dran denken, in Australien, wie hieß es? Port Arthur, diese Gefängnisinsel auf Tasmanien. Egal, da sind auch Gebäude niedergebrannt und da waren auch so Tafeln. Ich hatte, glaube ich, keinen Audioguide, aber und es waren auch ein paar andere Menschen noch da und nicht nur ich alleine, aber wer eine Erinnerung auch an richtige Museen wacht, das macht das Spiel ganz gut. So, Nummer 2 gefunden, sehr schön.
I thought the last one was the Grand View.
Oh, das war makaber.
You've now reached the grand circle of Blackhaven Hall, where visiting carriages would parade. But in 1781, there were additional buildings. To the left stood the kitchen, built freestanding to keep out smells, smoke, and protect against fires. British cannon, however, were another story. To the right stood the fine stables, housing beloved animals, including Eleanor Harwood's legendary horse, Duchess. Let's take a closer look at the house.
This girl really named her horse Duchess. Oh, I know this style. Ionic, I think. No, Doric. Greece, you didn't hear that.
Before we go in, step back and take in Blackhaven Hall. This house is an example of Georgian architecture, named after British kings, like the tyrant King George III. This style features symmetry, balance, and Greco-Roman influences, but with little ornamentation. Thanks to a state-of-the-art structural glass restoration, Blackhaven now has regained its original form. This striking, award-winning design by international firm JJC Architects duplicates the original porches, peaked roof, and top rows of dormer windows. Completed in 2019 at a cost of over $20 million, the restoration received funding from Harcorp Industries and its CEO, Thomas Harwood III, and is even LEED certified. Let's go inside.
They're really trying to boost the environment on a tobacco plantation. We need to get the reception desk up in here.
You're now in what was once one of the finest rooms in all of Virginia, with elaborate oak carvings handcrafted by Blackhaven carpenters. Straight ahead is the grand staircase, matching the exact dimensions of the original. You might be wondering at this point what's under your feet. Below is one of the vaulted Blackhaven cellar rooms. You can explore the cellar in a later stop. The open spaces to the right likely held parlors for the Harwood family to relax together. Let's go through the doorway to the left, into the former Harwood dining room, where meals were brought from the kitchen every day. Operating an 18th century household was hard and thankless work, requiring cooking, cleaning, lighting fires, and managing staff. But according to Thomas's diary, his wife Sarah did so always with a smile. To see how Thomas showed his gratitude, head through the door to the outside.
Yeah, Sarah must have really thrown her back out for everybody.
Das ist der Ballroom, oder? Ne, das ist die Küche gewesen. Ah, egal, jetzt bin ich ein bisschen hier nicht mehr in der richtigen Reihenfolge. Gehen wir aber auch trotzdem hin.
For real?
So, das ist doch der Ballroom. Das war, glaube ich, ein Bonus, ne? Ja, das ist der Ballroom.
This space was arguably the largest ballroom in the colony, outshining even the governor's mansion in Williamsburg. Thomas built it for his wife Sarah, who, although careful and pious, loved entertaining, especially at the annual Harvest Ball, a must-attend event for every Virginian. The impressive marble fireplace that kept dozens of dancing couples warm is one of the few fixtures to survive the Blackhaven fire. Thomas wrote regularly to General Washington throughout his life, which may explain this fireplace's similarity to one at Mount Vernon. If you're interested in trying to dance yourself, you can scan the bonus plaque to hear an 18th century minuet. Try your luck at dancing the pattern. Let's head down the stairs.
Tja, das habe ich
I
schon
gotta
gemacht
start
gehabt.
watching to see if people actually try to do this.
The brick arch above has become known as the Defiant Gate because its majestic and haunting shape survived the Blackhaven fire. So popular with visitors that many would break off pieces to take home as souvenirs, the elaborate carved doorway you see now is actually a reproduction installed in 1954, though some still mistake it for the original. The gate has also hosted many weddings, and local superstition says no unmarried couple can pass through together or their love will be forever broken. This legend may stem from Eleanor Harwood, who refused to dance with her fiancé in Blackhaven's ballroom before they were wed. In the spirit of freedom, we'll let you do as you please, but we are not responsible for any broken hearts. Head around to the rear side of the house and look for the stairs to the cellar for the next stop.
Don't worry, my mom would be trying to break off something else if I tried to get married here. Come on, guys. It's usually just the balls or the name. It's actually kind of impressive to get them both on one.
Of all the stops on our tour, this is the one that looks closest to how it might have in 1781. The Harwood cellar stored all the beer, ale, and imported wine the family needed to entertain in the ballroom above. If you look up now, you can see the first level where we stopped before. You may also notice curious drawings on the cellar walls. Visitors to the Blackhaven ruins notice the central symbol, naming it Harwood's Lucky 8, and the shape has come to represent the resilience of the Harwood family. Although Thomas loved codes and ciphers, we don't know who drew the original, and many subsequent tourists added their own variations. These are now their own history and protected by glass, but you're welcome to add your own on our post-it wall.
It really doesn't look like an 8, though.
Riverview soll das nächste sein, okay.
I could get used to this view.
Plantations like Blackhaven often had their own ports for shipping tobacco. So for many visitors, this rear side of the house was the front. Workers would roll down large barrels called hogsheads to be loaded into the tall ships bound for the Chesapeake Bay and out to the Atlantic. The distant riverbank is dotted with small creeks and inlets, including one shady pool that may have given Blackhaven its name. During the 19th century, a legend arose that Samuel Harwood had done business with pirates and had allowed them to bury their gold beneath one of the riverbanks. In hard times, treasure hunters can still be sometimes spotted, although now with metal detectors. One treasure we know existed was the spectacular walled garden that once stood between here and the river, full of exotic plants and flowers to support Thomas's study of botany. Now, let's head back inside. This time, take the stairs all the way to the top.
They really need to do the garden next.
Egal.
From this elevated walkway, we can get another marvelous view of the Blackhaven restoration. You can head left and walk along the platform on your way to the front porch balcony. The reconstruction began with the clearing of centuries of rubble, not all of it from the 18th, as many locals had found the ruins to be a convenient dumping pit. Local legends told of Blackhaven servants who were buried alive in the collapse, but no human remains were ever discovered. Once the rubble was clear, architects repaired the brickwork and built the central steel structure to provide support for the glass panels. If you look at some sections, like the glass corner coming up on your left, you'll notice that many plates of glass are actually acting as support columns, maximizing the amount of light and visibility in this innovative restoration.
Ich glaube, das Observation Deck ist schon nicht ganz oben, ne? Naja. So, Huskies.
Well, looks like another stray post-it. Not sure which high school this is supposed to be for. I'm pro dog, though. Huh, Field of Daisies. My grandma's name is Daisy. She would hate it here.
This balcony shows the expansive size of the Blackhaven estate. From here to the museum was only the front yard, with the entire farm extending far beyond the tree lines to the left and right. The hundreds of acres included multiple villages of farmhands, as well as a carpentry, smithy, and gristmill, each with its own craftsmen. And we are still learning more about Blackhaven even in the 21st century. On the plaque below is a traveling visitor's map of the entire estate, only recently discovered in the Library of Congress in 2006. Now continue back out and take a left into the Harwood bedroom.
Ja gut, dann mache ich erstmal das und gehe am Ende nochmal nach oben.
Okay, my last day, I'm taking a nap here.
We can't be sure, but we believe this space was the master bedroom of Blackhaven Hall, where Thomas Harwood and his wife Sarah spent many loving years together. You'll also notice some of the period furnishing on display, including this real 18th century bed, possibly owned by the Harwoods themselves. While the frame is intact, the fabric on display is a modern reproduction. Many visitors admire the bed curtains on these old pieces, but few know their true purpose. In addition to keeping warmth in and insects out, bed curtains provided privacy between homeowners and any servants. After all, a man of Thomas's sterling reputation would never risk the embarrassment of running into a servant unexpectedly, especially in his honored bedroom. Now head out to the rear balcony overlooking the river for our next stop.
Like they know what Thomas was getting up to in here.
You are now standing in the same spot as Thomas Harwood during the most harrowing night of his entire life, the Battle of Blackhaven. After British General Cornwallis landed in Virginia in 1781, Thomas had worried about the threat of raids and even turned down an invitation to join General Washington in Williamsburg, choosing instead to stay behind and defend the private river homes. Finally, one fateful night, Thomas spotted the tall mast of a British ship over the trees through his spyglass. British agents came ashore, attempting to seek a peaceful surrender and forage, but according to Sarah's later account, brave farm workers fired warning shots before they could even reach the garden. The rest of the family and staff barricaded themselves in the house, with muskets pointing down from every window. Plucky 7-year-old Elizabeth Harwood even risked life and limb to drape an American flag over the balcony, possibly the one now hanging in the museum. As nightfall approached, the British commanders lost their patience and trotted out small cannon and mortars to begin shelling the house. Cannonballs likely hit Blackhaven's walls, although later damage has made it difficult to tell, and aerial shells exploded terrifically in the air. Shrapnel from one bomb apparently broke an attic window and ignited a stack of linens, and Blackhaven was officially ablaze. The Harwoods and their servants fired back furiously, but the British waited for the flames to run their course. As the house filled with smoke, Thomas resolved to stay and become a true martyr for liberty, but Sarah pleaded with him to flee, assuring him that he could not help the new nation as a ghost. The family abandoned the raging fire and escaped into the night. Although we don't know for sure if the legend of Farmer Joe venturing into the burning house to save family heirlooms is true, crucial objects from the house do survive in our museum, whether they were carried or had been stowed away for safekeeping days before. What is certain is that the fire, which later spread to the nearby kitchen and stables, was final and marked a Patriot defeat and the end of Blackhaven Hall. Now, head back to the ground level, take a left, and continue to the site of the formal library.
That's a lot of patriotism for one family getting their house burned down.
Ja, das finde ich auch immer. Eigentlich haben die Geist gemacht, die sind einfach nur weggerannt. So, ich muss aber noch einmal nach oben hier, glaube ich. Ja, hier ist nämlich das Observation Deck.
I can feel being up here in my stomach.
From this observation deck, you can see the sheer size of the house, as not even the Harwood family ever could. And how about the view? Spectacular now. In the 18th century, this was simple attic space, storing house goods and overflow visitors. Workers at Blackhaven did gossip about strange goings-on in the attic, passing rumors of occult ceremonies and witchcraft. But while the entire Harwood family loved puzzles and secrets, there's no evidence of anything more witchy than a stray broom or two. When you're done admiring the view, head down the stairs to the second floor elevated walkway.
Though part of me wants to see if I can make this rock back and forth. Never mind, too scared.
So, okay. Die Library muss ja hier sein.
Ugh, the most interesting room, and this is all they've got to show.
So sympathisch, dass sie die Bücherei
Heartbreaking
mag.
to believe that this was once the greatest library in all of the young United States. Filled with hundreds of leather-bound books, scientific instruments, and exotic animal and mineral specimens, the Blackhaven Library was designed by Thomas himself. His collection dwarfed even Thomas Jefferson's, and had it survived, Blackhaven's books, not Monticello's, might have been the basis for the Library of Congress. Lost too were Thomas's brilliant journals, some reportedly written in code, full of observations and experiments that might have rivaled Ben Franklin's. Little of the structure remains, possibly because the books here fueled an even hotter fire. The fire of Thomas Harwood's life would soon, too, burn out. Nearly a year after the battle, he began to suffer again from a mysterious illness that had plagued him for years. He finally succumbed to the disease and was buried with honor in Williamsburg before a massive crowd of patriots. Thomas's unexplained death spawned rumors of a poisoning, and even that Sarah had drugged Thomas after he had discovered a secret affair. But modern historians have found evidence only of a loving marriage, and theorize that local Tories may have spread the rumors to discredit Thomas.
Ja.
His life now shines as an example to every American, a patriot who loved his wife and his country. You can now head down the stairs and to the left to the final plaque along the trail.
They used a lot of ifs for Thomas in that one. Last one. Let's get back and get some lunch.
This is the final stop in our audio tour. We recommend you head back to the museum using the left trail. Blackhaven Hall was never to be rebuilt, as Thomas had vowed that the ruins stand forever as a monument to British treachery. Sarah and her daughter Elizabeth went to live with family in Maryland before she eventually remarried. Thomas's brother William Harwood, a farmer and Episcopal minister, eventually purchased most of the estate from Sarah. A few miles down the road, he built his own new grand home at Oakmont, named for the small tree-covered hill nearby. Oakmont's foundations were built by dismantling the Blackhaven lawn and garden walls to make use of the bricks. Oakmont lacked the imposing size and grandeur of Blackhaven Hall, but the Harwoods continued their commitment to defending liberty and free enterprise for every American. Although their loyalties to their Virginian countrymen required them to defend against the Union in the Civil War, the nation mended its divisions and ventured into the 20th century even stronger. Now the family is arguably more famous for Harcourt Industries, a global economic juggernaut, but their story of American success began right here, in the humble fields of Blackhaven. This concludes the Blackhaven audio tour. If you haven't already, be sure to visit our galleries and to pick up something for the special patriot in your life at our gift store.
Gott.
Oakmont Plantation, still the current residence of the 6th generation of the Harwood family, is open for scheduled tours the first and third weekends of every month. And don't forget, both Blackhaven and Oakmont are available for weddings, anniversaries, and corporate events. We hope you enjoy the rest of your visit and find your own ways to honor the memory of our founding fathers. As Thomas Harwood once wrote, liberty is entrusted only to them who will work for it. Goodbye.
Pretty sure there were some people working here who didn't get their liberty.
So, das ist dann wieder durchstreichen wahrscheinlich. Oh.
Whew. Well, that's as good as Blackhaven lunch gets. Probably should get started on my last task. Audio tour is done, so the only thing left is, document scanning in the archive.
Ach ja, oh Gott.
Well, I better head over.
Aber ich habe das Gefühl, die muss man jetzt nicht gemerkt haben, weil das ja doch sehr einfach ist, das Spiel.
Good afternoon. Thanks for calling Blackhaven Hall. This is Kendra speaking. How may I help you?
Oh, hello, Kendra. Thank you so much for taking my call. I just had a couple tiny little questions about y'all's wedding options. So, we are considering a date in September. We're going to have the ceremony on the lawn with the great big oak trees and the view of the river, and the reception in that magnificent new glass structure thing. But my question is, we're going to have a true flock of bridesmaids and us girls all stomping around all day in 4-inch heels. We need a place to take a load off away from the boys. And well, we thought it'd be a hoot if we could hole up in one of those little cabins.
The cabins?
Yeah, you know, the cute little ones with the droopy little chimneys that look like summer camp.
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Blackhaven Hall is a large brick 18th century mansion.
Oh, honey, I know Blackhaven. I just mean like when we went to have Cotillion at Shady Grove Plantation, they have those cute little cabins in a row out back.
Do you mean the slave cabins?
Oh, well, I mean, no, I don't think so. You know, we just thought it would be fun.
You thought it would be fun for you and your girls to put your feet up in a slave cabin?
Oh, you know, honey, I've kept you on the phone far too long. You must be so busy. I'll try back another time.
I'm not busy.
So thank you so much, dear. God bless.
What the f... There's the scanning station. Now I have to go find the right box from the archive. Looks like I need Thomas first.
Oder
I'll
18.
leave that there for now.
Okay. Können wir mal versuchen, alle zu merken. 18, 9 und 6.
Huh. Look at these.
Die sehen janisch aus eher, oder?
Check this pattern. These are so much more interesting than the ones in the case. Why aren't these on display? Wait. Oh my god. Are those... Damn, Blackhaven. Damn.
Ja, das ist wahrscheinlich für die Sklaven gewesen. Was haben wir hier?
Okay, here we go. This list has which collection is which number.
6 William Harvard Papers. 9 Anna Harvard Papers. 18. Weiß ich nicht. Gucken, was jetzt hier passiert.
I don't think this is the right folder.
Okay, warte mal. 3 bis 4, 5 bis 15 bis 20. Ja, dann wäre ja also 18. Warte mal, ist denn hier 18 irgendwie drin? Ich verstehe noch nicht ganz, wie das hier mit der Beschriftung ist. Hier ist was mit 18.
Okay, got the folder. Let me go scan this. Okay, Helen wants me to check every page top to bottom before scanning. These are always typed up though, so I don't have to read Thomas's handwriting. I've seen worse. Alright, that looks fine. Let me go hit scan on the laptop. Well, here goes. Time for the genius of the founding fathers. So genius is mostly just breakfast comments, apparently.
Ja, da bin ich jetzt... Ich habe Brot gegessen und Butter. Ja, da bin ich gerade zu faul, das alles zu lesen.
I guess Thomas does seem gentle with kids, though he put this one to sleep.
Okay, ich lese mal doch vielleicht, weil irgendwie macht das, glaube ich, dann mehr Sinn. 26. August. I arose at 7 o'clock and ate milk and rice for breakfast. I reviewed my notes on the effect of the moon on tobacco worms and read of the history of Egypt in Herodotus. I rode out to the westernmost farm to talk with the overseer and examine his corn when I saw Black Pompey ride out on Sarah's own horse, greatly distressed. He informed me that Elizabeth could not be found in the house and her mother was restless over her safety. I rode back with haste to meet my wife, who said Elizabeth had abandoned her studies in the garden, neglecting her book of arithmetic in the grass. When I came to the scene, I noticed that now 2 more of her treasured cabbages were missing, which made me newly suspect that the thief was no animal. As the garden river gate had been left open, I took Pompey and Sam with me to look along the riverbanks. Not an hour into our search, I found her crossing through the brush without a care. I forgot, for all her knowledge, she is still a child, innocent of the world even after 6 years. She told me that she had gone looking for cabbage to replace that which she said had lost, thinking it might grow wild, like the Sunday berries the Negroes pick. Thinking of her poor mother's kindly nature, I was first full of anger, but I acquiesced when I thought of Elizabeth's hearty spirit. She had run off not to lazily disregard her lessons, but to preserve our work in the garden. I hugged her and forgave her in that moment to encourage such industriousness as I always endeavored to teach. For dinner I ate fish and I slept early after only a chapter of botany.
She really got lost looking for lettuce in the forest. Poor Pompey getting dragged along in all her white girl nonsense.
August. I arose before 6 o'clock and ate bread and butter for breakfast. I read my Bible and said my prayers for patience and generosity. In the morning, after settling my accounts in my office, I walked back to the garden. Now that the unseemly matter with the cabbages have been resolved, Elizabeth had moved to her next fancy, astronomy. I took her to the dial and explained the paths of the Earth around the Sun, the globe's angle, and the seasons, and I promised to show her my orrery in the library by candlelight. How thankful I am for such moments between parent and child. It is truly by such kind meetings that our family prospers.
Wait, the matter with the cabbages got resolved? Is there a page missing? Better put this back in the box.
So, das war 18, ich brauche noch 6 und 9.
Okay, gotta find the shelf where this box goes.
Was denn das? Keine Ahnung. Achso, ja, das
Ready
ist...
for the next folder. I can look at my instructions in the reading room or the collections index if I need to.
14.2, 4 bis 9, 3 bis 5, 8 bis 14. Ich verstehe diese Aufschriften ehrlich gesagt immer noch nicht. Also ich brauche ja... Das war doch nicht, das waren auch nicht Promotional Materials, oder? Nee. Nochmal kurz hier rauf. Ich nehme mal hier den 6er. Und da hinten ist noch der 9er.
Nope.
Hä?
Not that one. Nah. Nope. Not that one. Nah. Not that one.
Das ist die Nummer 9 auf jeden Fall. Ist 9.5 dann
Okay,
irgendwie?
got the folder. Let me go scan this.
Ich stelle mich echt dumm an hier, glaube ich, was das angeht.
Okay, next set. Let's read about this scary-looking couple.
Anna Harwood Papers, Volume 4, Correspondence from the Augmont Library of the Harwood family. Anna Harwood and Gideon Harwood. Blackhaven Hall, Historical Society, Februar 1967. Okay, das ist dann gleich nochmal in...
Gideon's handwriting is a lot of work. I shouldn't talk knowing basically no cursive.
Ja, komm schon. Das ist Anna Harwood.
Anna's handwriting is a lot neater, but still hard to read somehow.
Okay, das ist jetzt die Abschrift davon. Gideon Harwood to Anna Harwood. 17. Mai 1862. My dearest Anna, this will be the first letter you receive and the first that has gone out to post since my enlistment. I write, das ist der gestorben ist im Bürgerkrieg, glaube ich, ne? I write to currently from the light of my campfire after a march of 12 miles. I now realize that the job of a soldier is to march more than to fight. I miss you terribly. I know our cause is true, but I cannot help wishing to see you and our boy in every moment. No matter the direction of compass, north, west, east or south, I know all is but a long journey back to hold your poor little hand. Poor little hand, okay. And so every step I take is a step towards you. It has become apparent to me that for all the skills of a southern gentleman, some of the other officers have not slept even a single night under the stars. Also, some of my rank have scorned me for not partaking in the officers' mess. I have one great cheer for my hominy porridge. I owe it primarily to tricks from old sailors. I reckon that tired Negro may be cleverer than half the lot, and most any Yankee. We do hear rumors of engagements day to day, but so far I have seen no action. I know you think that I am a hard man, and I will grant I have never feared a day's real work, nor the heat nor the cold. There were many weak and venal men in our family line, and I have always worked to earn an eternal rest as a faithful servant. Nevertheless, I do fear the violence to come. Men full of whiskey boast and swear by firelight of how we are to whip the enemy, but not even the most enthusiastic papers can disguise that many of us will not return home. Yours always, Gideon.
Gideon got himself stuck out in the cold because he just couldn't give up those slaves.
Und dann von Anna Harwood. Gideon, my darling, you are a strong man. You know, so many boys came calling to me, and I had no use for their foppish manners. You were always silent and true. My great oak, stronger than a hurricane, gentle in the breeze. You are learning so fast, but your proud wife is just as quick a study. I am so thankful now that father always kept us informed of our accounts and harvest. He remembered his mother's ingenuity as a widow and would not allow his daughters to go without the same. We do worry about getting the tobacco to market, but you were wise to plant more wheat in recent years. Some of ours may even reach your campfire plate. The darkies, was sind die Schwarzen oder was? The darkies ask about the war, but I believe they fear Yankees pillaging more than their steady masters. Of course, Emily and Charlotte have run off together, and each did the same before the war. And I know they return to their infernal kin when their taste of adventure runs dry. Oh, how I wish all the Negro lot were as loyal as Henry. He still carries on running the house and the kitchen when I cannot. He'd not run to the Yankees once in 10 lifetimes. Like our son, who fears a fall but will take his first steps to his mother, fear not as you take every step back towards me. We fight for liberty, be it against foreign tyrants of northern pretenders, and surely the good Lord in his infinite justice will deliver you to me. I shall keep in my private thoughts what plans I have for us when he does. A resourceful wife to a brave husband, Anna. Ja, also es ist, wie man jetzt deutlich sieht, auf jeden Fall hier auf Seiten der Südstaaten, die ja für unter anderem die Sklavenhaltung waren, gegen die Yankees, die Nordstaaten. Das war natürlich die unsympathischere Seite, würde ich mal sagen, im Bürgerkrieg.
Shut your mouth, Anna. Emily and Charlotte better keep running.
Was noch mehr zu lesen? Gideon Howe schreibt wieder an Anna 1864. My dearest Anna, I know that you have received word of my condition and my time in the hospital. I wanted to ease your tender heart, but now I am able to write from mine and tell you everything I could not dictate to the nurse. I had written to you about my first tastes of the battlefield, which passed without much incident as we stayed behind with the artillery. But 3 weeks ago, the bugle finally sounded for your husband, and I found myself charging across the field. I cannot describe the sensation adequately. There is tremendous noise, but so there always is. There is a whiz of the balls as they cut through the air. There is dirt and smoke and cries of anger and anguish, but in the tumult, what I felt most deeply was a nervous sense of my nakedness. No barricade, no ditch, no country stone fence, only my stained grey wool between me and our Maker. I am ashamed to say I was terrified. With each step I took on my frightful path, I felt less and less the master of my body. It was at this moment that I felt my leg give out. It was as if some animal had pulled me down and hit the grass with all my weight. I was alert and aware but I could not move my right leg. I looked down and saw a ball had struck me and split up my shin bone and blown my wide open. I could not stop up the blood with my torn trousers, which were already soaked in red, and I pressed hard to stay the bleeding and winced as I felt my bare bone against my dirty palms. In anguish, I crawled just behind the safety of a knoll and somehow removed my coat to tie it tight around my wound and lay back in the grass.
It's so crazy to think about all this violence and chaos. And then every museum is such a quiet place.
Ah, guter Punkt. Even amidst the terrible din, the world quieted. I could see only the blue sky and the white clouds and the nearby treetops, and I felt the heat of the sun the same as when we lay in the grass on Sunday picnics. I began to feel light in the head, and I supposed these were my last moments on earth. I should have made my confession, but instead I prayed your sweet name on my lips over and over. I thought of your hair resting light on the pillow. I thought of how you skip through the garden. I thought of our boy, grown tall and strong, and walking with me in the ruins of the old house, hearing the tales of great patriots and savage Indians like my father told me. But most of all, I watched the treetops away. I thought perhaps if I must leave this earth, my spirit could follow you in the breeze, grazing your cheek and whispering furtively in your ear of my eternal love. I have no more to tell, but weak as I am, my strength fades quickly. My pain lessens each day, but my gratitude remains constant. I thank heaven on earth I will see you again. Yours forever, Gideon.
Gideon seems more pleasant than a lot of these people, but definitely racist.
So, da schreibt jetzt wieder Anna an Gideon zurück. Gideon, my most loving husband, my love for you is just as eternal. You doubt yourself because you are so humble and true. You are no coward. Your wounds testify to your bravery. I am certain deep in the mind of every man on the field are your same fears, but there are many who would not lead the charge. Indeed, there are many who would not even answer the call. You may dwell in your sadness, but I am giddy at the thought of your kind and handsome face. Oh, how I wish I could be there to cheer you. I would come in such a pretty dress and smile and sing and read to you and compose a sonnet in your honor. I would make the hospital into a ballroom, just as the one where we met, and show you so much affection that every pair of jealous eyes would be on me, but mine would be only on you. Whatever may happen, do not mourn your body. My fine oak will not be diminished even by the loss of a branch. It would be nothing like poor Henry thought. He still manages to bring my breakfast up the stairs each day with his awful limp. You are a man of letters, the head of a fine and ancient family, sick with friends and rich in my love. How can we despair while your affections endure with even greater love, Anna?
Alright, I'm not gonna lie, these two are really feeling each other. Ease up on Henry, though.
Wir so lesen. My only Gideon, it has taken me weeks, but I just write to you, wieder Anna, ne? 5. April 1864. But I must write to you, even though you will never read it. You lay now in some spot of cold earth. Okay, er ist mittlerweile also gestorben. The officer who delivered the news could not even say for certain where. But my heart knows because it is there every day and every night. Oh, Gideon, the light has gone out of my life. From my earliest years I was prepared to be a wife and mother. and in my youth I could have taken the hand of any man in the state. But when I saw you, I knew I would never entertain another suitor. Our boy now says my name, and I tell him yours, and show him your picture. He will never know what it means to truly look on your sweet face, but he will know your image and your deeds. News came recently of our surrender. Haben die Südstaaten jetzt aufgegeben. Mittlerweile, ich weiß, die kennen die Jahre dann nicht so ganz aus dem Kopf von der amerikanischen Geschichte. And the death of our newly free nation, but it troubles me not, because all my aspirations have died with you. Many of the servants have stayed back to continue on their farms. After all, they know nothing else, nor are they suited to live without supervision. Ich glaube schon, dass die ohne Supervision leben könnten. If my heart were not already broken beyond repair, it would have pained me to see a smiling Henry riding away in an onion wagon. But it was only now a small slight. Oh, how I curse Yankee arrogance and pride. They have undone my world, they have turned what is true upside down, and still not content, the damned animals have taken you from me. I would wipe 10,000 of them from the earth in a bloody instant, and not feel the slightest pang of remorse. You were worth them all, my precious love. I promise you I will never remarry. I know you are so kind you would wish me another warm bed, but I will not take it. I will live my days with a cool temper and a cold resolve, and dedicate my efforts to never forgetting our cause of your sacrifice.
Damn, they got Gideon. But Anna is really out here trying to commit a genocide in his honor.
Anna ist schon speziell, ein bisschen. My only solace is that being so close to death before you were able to relate to me the true depths of your love. I pray that you were given the chance to say my name as you expired, because I say yours each night when the darkness comes for me, when my eyes close, as yours are forever. I cannot realize any joy, but believe me, my dearest, I feel you in the breeze. Anna.
Anna is so awful, but I can still feel her loss. Why couldn't she feel anything for somebody like me?
Gut. Zweiter Akt.
Better put this back in the box.
Zweiter Dings fertig.
Okay, gotta find the shelf where this box goes. Ready for the next folder. I can look at my instructions in the reading room or the collections index if I need to.
Was ist doch da drin? Müssen wir mal kurz alle durch.
Not that one.
Okay.
Okay, got the folder. Let me go scan this.
Blackhaven Hall, Summary Report of Battlefield and Barn Excavations by Clarence Conway, John Rawlings, and Stephen Armistead.
This one seems more boring.
These excavations seemed to establish an ecological understanding of the 1781 Battle of Blackhaven, while surviving historical sources recount the attack, particularly in the journal of Rebecca Harwood. There has To the point being little physical evidence from the battle. The earliest mention in the historical record comes from the Virginia Gazette approximately 2 weeks after the events in the question, which quoted Thomas and Sarah Harwood. All accounts are consistent that the British troops landed at Blackhaven's private wharf and exchanged small musket fire with the Harwoods and their servants before shelling the main house with a small cannon and mortars, eventually igniting a fire. Rebecca Harwood's later 1824 diary also mentions a second skirmish, an exchange of small arms fire from servants barricaded inside the nearby tobacco drying barn. The barn itself continued in use until the late 1880s, when it was demolished after the construction of a replacement closer to the Oakmont plantation. With these accounts in mind, strategic excavations were conducted at 5 sample sites, 2 near the main house facing the river and 3 at the likely sites of British and American positions near the barn. Early use of metal detectors looking for traces of firearm and lead ordnance shot informed the choice of sites.
I bet that military weirdo from earlier would love this.
Excavations at sites 1 and 2, 1 and 2, focused on recovering mortar shrapnels, musket balls, or cannon shots. Thus far, no such materials have been found. Much of the recovered material at Site 2 was related to food production, likely from the daily carrying of meals from the freestanding kitchen building to the main house dining room. Artifacts recovered from Site 1 were more varied but less intact, and are suggestive, perhaps, of an informal garbage pit. Some pottery shards from Site 1 suggest primary usage from much earlier periods in the late 17th or early 18th century. Basketball buckles, coins.
They never found any bullets from the entire battle?
Ja, vielleicht war ja gar
Were they
kein
digging
Kampf.
in the wrong place?
Vielleicht ist das Haus einfach nur abgebrannt und sie haben, weiß ich, die Versicherung betrogen. Lese. Ach, Seite 3. Sites 3 and 4 barn. Excavations near the site of the tobacco drying barn focused again on the search for militaria. Some surviving accounts had made reference to barricades or even more formal redoubts, so attention was paid to ground variations potentially left by fortified embankments or ditches. Digging at potential sites revealed again no evidence of military engagement, but did recover post holes and other soil evidence of between 5 and small timber structures. Also, they are not mentioned in the surviving accounts of the skirmish. This appears to be the nearest slave quarters for tobacco laborers and some house servants. The location referred to as the near quarter in Thomas Harwood's surviving journal. Digging revealed a variety of everyday and agricultural objects, far less glass and porcelain than found at the house sites, but more colonoware fragments, including a few with distinctive decorative markings and iron goods like horseshoes and nails. One truly notable recovery for potential gallery display are the remains of a very fine important porcelain teapot, which almost certainly was owned by the Harwood family rather than any of the slave families living in the quarter. Das haben wir schon gesehen, den Teapot. Hä? Hier sagt sie gar nichts.
Oh, wow. This is the teapot from the gallery.
Mhm. On the mutual agreement of both the firm and the BHHS, digging at Site 5 was suspended. Mhm.
Suspended? What was all that drama about?
Da gab es voll Sachen, die man vielleicht lieber nicht finden wollte. Additional testing. Additional analysis was conducted on surviving artifacts owned by the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society and the Harvard family. In particular, are a set of musket balls from the 19th century collection of Anna Harvard, using the taxonomy for early American ordnance established by Johnston Leland et al. 1968, Seiten 1 bis 8. It appears clear that the musket balls do not resemble any in common use by either American or British forces during the Revolutionary era. The caliber and quality of the shots suggest instead that they are from an earlier matchlock musket from the late 17th or early 18th century, most likely the type used for hunting geese or other fowl. Similarly, the brass gorget said to have been abandoned by a dying British officer clearly dates from the era of George II and could not have been a relic of the Battle of Blackhaven. It is, however, consistent in similarity to British forces active in the 7 Years' War and may be possible to connect to the expedition led by Colonel George Washington in the Fort Necessity Campaign. Also, langsam das Gefühl, es gab gar keine Schlacht hier um dieses Ding. Das Haus wurde einfach so abgebrannt. Der tolle Typ, oder wie war das? Die Ehe war auch, glaube ich, gar nicht so gut, hatte man ja schon ein bisschen gelesen, wo es dann hieß, ja, das sollen aber dann hier nur Gerüchte gewesen sein. Und last but not least, da scheint es auch noch ein bisschen mehr dunkle Sklaverei hier gegeben zu haben, als man so dachte. Also also dieses ganze Museum ist mittlerweile schon überhaupt in Frage zu stellen, ob man hier für dieses Gebäude überhaupt so ein Museum haben sollte. Mal gucken, wie sich das jetzt noch weiterentwickelt, weil ich glaube, ab jetzt wird dieses Spiel, obwohl ich bin ja schon bei diesen 2 Stunden, so viel passiert wahrscheinlich nicht mehr, obwohl ich habe, glaube ich, auch ziemlich viel gelesen. Aber ich würde denken, dass es jetzt bald noch an ein Ende geht, wo es jetzt vielleicht so einen gewissen Hook gibt hier bei diesem Spiel, bevor es dann endet. Mal schauen.
Yes, one more scan and I'm all done. Better put this back in the box. Okay, gotta find the shelf where this box goes.
Sorry, die Nummerierung verstehe ich einfach nicht, deswegen bin ich hier komplett random. Da hinten eigentlich hin, ne? Ja, es geht trotzdem auch von hier.
Whew, last one.
Oh oh.
This is a weird little guy stuck back here.
Okay, bisschen komisch jetzt wegen Dings. Okay, schauen wir mal hier rein. Was ist das? Das muss man doch irgendwie... Scheint nicht richtig aufzugehen, oder wie?
Well, I did all the pages I can find. And it's almost time to close. Better head over to Helen's office and drop off my key.
Warte mal, ich verstehe das nicht. Was hat denn das hier mit auf sich? Vielleicht finde ich in Helens Office den Schlüssel für das Ding.
Okay, Helen said to leave the key in the top desk drawer.
Nee, auch die anderen, die darf ich gar nicht erst. Da ist jetzt schon ein anderer Schlüssel drin. Aha.
Archive key goes back. Huh. I wonder if this goes to that old file cabinet. I'm gonna go try it. Oh, Helen had her computer on sleep.
Oh, jetzt wird's. Mal gucken, jetzt kommen die Geheimnisse raus. Paper works for Kate Turner an Deborah Robinson. Nee, von Deborah Robinson an Helen. Nee, erstmal ist aber jetzt was nochmal. Erstmal kommt was hier von Helen. Warte mal, hä?
All right, Helen.
Nein, ich habe das nicht gelesen.
I see how it is.
Halt! Nein, ich habe es nicht gelesen. Oh, weil ich wollte scrollen, das ging nicht und dann habe ich W gedrückt und na gut. Das Spannendere wird wahrscheinlich jetzt eh. Jetzt mir später auf meiner Aufnahme nochmal durchlesen, was da eigentlich stand. Spannender wird wahrscheinlich jetzt eh der Schrank hier sein. Die dunklen Geheimnisse von Blackhaven. Oh, noch ein Aktenordner.
Wait, this is the missing page from Thomas's journal. Why have they got this locked up in the corner?
Ja, wie wieder reintun? Das wird jetzt hier schön gescannt.
I need to take this over to the scanner and check it out. What
Ja.
else might be in here? Maybe some of the other missing pages are in here.
August. I arose at 6 o'clock and ate only milk for breakfast. I read in geometry and wrote to our neighbors about the news from Philadelphia. In the morning I went to see the first leaves cut and hung to be dried in the barn. In my walk through the nearest quarter I was occasioned with a shock when what did I see but all three of Elizabeth's missing cabbages growing rudely in a negro garden. I found Joseph in the field and had him pull the culprit away from her duties, and he brought a rather uncomely wench named Patty. She feigned ignorance as to how such a marvelous specimen could be found replanted in a hair-homely plot, when just then her girl Sally ran up to confess she had dug out the cabbages to help her mother, claiming that after a day in the fields the indolent creature had no time to mind the garden and cook for her kine. My temper justly rose, and I considered beating the girl, for not even a gentle foal can be broken to the saddle without the lash, but her mother pleaded so that I saw the wisdom of it. It was Patty, being fully grown, who deserves punishment for neglecting to train her child, so I had her whipped in full view the girl and fed the cabbage to the pigs to show how thoroughly it had been spoiled by the incident. As the base chivalry had soared my afternoon, I took a nap on the window couch. Alles normal. Before dinner of boiled beef and asparagus, Spargel. In the evening, my mirth returned when Sarah played the piano.
God damn, he beat a mother in front of her child and then needed a nap? I knew Thomas was sketchy, but this is messed up. Did someone take this out to make him look better?
Wahrscheinlich. William,
It's William, Thomas's brother. He had to be jealous of his bro's hair.
compiled for the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society from the collection of the Library of Congress 1971. Okay, aber
I need to
weiter.
read down to the end of every page.
Okay. Sorry. Ach so, jetzt darf ich erst weiterblättern, okay. $10 reward. Run away from the subscriber on the 12th of the instant. My man Joshua, he is about 5 feet 6 inches high, about 26 years of age. He formerly belonged to Richard Drew and may be lurking around his farm in Norfolk County, where he had a wife and daughter when he was purchased. He has run away to the same before, so he is not ill-treated. The above reward will be given and all reasonable expense paid for securing him in the county jail, so that I get him again. William Harwood, Ogmont. 804. $10 reward. Run away on Saturday the 5th of this month. My cook Stephen, about 47 years of age. He is about 5 foot 9 inches tall, with a clever tongue, and he speaks a bit of French. He is a pleasant countenance and remarkable as a baker and very active and handy. He also plays the fiddle well and may seek employment in such trades. In short, he is smart at anything he set about. He has a little skill in writing and may attempt to produce a pass and endeavor to pass as a free man. He has never run away before in many years of service, so I expect he has been enticed off by some villain. He had on a red wool coat with brass buttons and a silver buckle for his trousers. The above reward will be paid to anyone who will deliver him to me at Ogmont or confine him in any jail so that I get him again. William Harwood, Ogmont, 9. Juli. Da sind von Sklaven, glaube ich, weg, die dann wieder gesucht werden. Run away from the 20. März 1804, 9. Juli 1804, jetzt haben wir 24. Juni 1805. Run away from the Fab-Verreiber in Ogmont. A Negro woman named Hannah, about 5 feet 2 inches high, a yellow mulatto girl with a bald countenance, aged about 35 years. She was branded on the shoulder at the old Blackhaven, and she may be very easily known by having part of her left ear cut off. Von wem wohl? She may have been seen crossing at the near ferry and is very clever and lively. A reward of $10 will be given to any person who will secure and put her in jail so that I get her again. I forewarn all persons from harboring that Negro, as in that case they may expect to be prosecuted. William Harwood, Ogmont, 24. Juni.
I don't know, William. Why would Stephen run? I mean, Joshua was only sold away from his family, and Hannah was branded and missing an ear. And William is the minister? How much time do I have? What else have these Blackhaven people hidden away in here? Hey, secret letters from Gideon and poor racist Anna. I hope they took these out because of adult content. All these awful people could at least spill a little tea for me.
My dearest Anna, before I can continue even another word, I must tell you to keep this letter a secret as long as you live. In truth, it would best for you to burn it, but I know you well enough to suspect you would never agree to such terms. My story does not begin with sorrow. In truth, I was recently rejoicing as I had recuperated enough to leave behind my hospital bed and take my first steps. My gait is uneven and painful, but I must thank our Lord for the surgeon and the nurses, for each considers my walking to be evidence of his miracles. Er ist slowly recovered, also er ist doch, man hätte bisher gedacht, also ich zumindest jetzt, er ist im Krankenhaus dann da doch irgendwann gestorben und dann hat halt Anna noch ihren Brief geschrieben an den Toten quasi, aber anscheinend hat er sich doch noch erstmal regeneriert, mal gucken, ob er dann vielleicht Selbstmord begangen hat stattdessen. As I slowly recovered, I wished to return to duty, but I was no longer fit to march with the healthy boys. Still I begged and received a guard in our camp, which was still vulnerable to Yankee raids. Sorry. Even through my pains, it felt sweet to hold a rifle and keep my post and once again serve my fellow countrymen. 2 weeks after my new position, some 4 companies of our men met the enemy in a fierce little battle not even 5 miles from camp, and all the day the wounded were brought back to the hospital, and with each round came also Onion prisoners. Short of rations, as we were already, we worried about feeding the captives, and we made them to sit in a cattle pen in a clearing where they could do no mischief. I could not have prepared for what my eyes would see next. A full band of 12 up-jumped Negroes through contraband fills brought into our camp, clad in the hated blue of the regular Onion infantry. Ja, haben wir halt auch mitkämpfen müssen. At first sight, these black rascals looked no more at ease in uniform than apes. Das ist aber auch schon, er ist auch ein ganz schöner Rassist. But as the shock subsided, we began debating what to do. Their presence so inflamed the tempers of every good rebel that we could not put them with the white Union men or have the whole lot torn to pieces in a riot. Instead, I and another handful of guards marched them a few hundred yards into the nearby woods. Each of us were filled with contempt for these treacherous Negroes, and some in our party even stooped to hurling insults at the beasts, who looked back calmly at us as if deaf and dumb. I wish I could tell you true that our prisoners provoked us, but it is not the case. One of our men, unannounced and inflamed with passion, pulled out his pistol and shot one clean in the head. He fell and his brains spilled out on the ground and his blood leaked onto the boots of his companions. At least now some of the darkies yelled and begged, some dropped to their knees, but there was no saving them. We each in a fury shot the rest without thinking or speaking to one another. At least one of them I killed all alone. I shot him straight in the chest and saw the stain spread out through his coat until the life left his eyes. Yeah, doch. It was an awful scene, a slaughter, but they did not bleed like lambs. They looked at us with terror and disdain. I have seen so many fall on the field in the commotion of war, but this was different. Truly, it was criminal. Silently, in our relief and in our guilt, we came back with shovels and dug a shallow trench to bury them. The men went through their pockets to claim their effects, and one dropped a fine silver case in the dust. I retrieved it and opened up to a daguerreotype depicting what must have been this man's plump black wife, dressed as well as a free woman. It was in this moment I was overcome with guilt For I could see only. Ja, also ich meine, ihr habt jetzt einfach mal eure schwarzen Kriegsgefangenen hier abgeschlachtet, wenn ich es gerade richtig verstanden habe. Das ist natürlich schon, da hat man zu Recht seine Guild. Bessie back at Augment, who raised me and my sister, who nursed us, who fed us, and who held us close to her breast. Surely she loved a man in her own childish way. Weil, naja. And there he lay dead in a pile. I still have not reconciled myself to the guilt I feel. War is brutal business, and I would give any number of lives, both ours and theirs, if those who remained would live free from tyranny. Truly, to preserve God's design and the order of the races, I would have killed 10 times as many as we did. But this felt nothing like victory, and I fear that I will suffer some greater judgment for violation of honor and conduct which we committed. I feel no pride in relaying these events to you, but you so value my honesty I can tell you nothing else. I love you still in this moment, Gideon. So. Oh, er schreibt. Da steht da oben drüber, Gideon habe to Anna, aber das ist doch jetzt Anna to Gideon. My kindest and dearest Gideon. Woe that I cannot be there to soothe your noble heart. It is truly the wars are ugly affairs, but you remain shining and spotless in my eyes. Ja, fick dich, Anna, ey. I am proud you have so great a sense of order and decency that you were simply overcome with righteous anger and transgressed even the law to achieve the greater good. Puh, Alter, das ist alles fiktiv, aber ich krieg da trotzdem gerade fast schon meinen Hass hier. Of course, you and your compatriots were filled with rage. I seize even now at the thought of ungrateful creatures. We give them so much more than their natures deserve. We provide them with not only sustenance and shelter, but discipline and purpose. We give the Lord truth and the keys to heaven, lest they have perished forever in darkest Africa. And yet, at their first chance, they betray us to foreign invaders and would give over everything we have built to their corrupt new masters. You are filled with guilt because the right action was so difficult. But when our men, our good southern men, wither and starve and die as beasts in onion camps, are we to think that Negro prisoners deserve better treatment? That honest white men are no better than Negros? Oder ich kann mir schon denken, was da wirklich steht. No, what you did was justice and deserving of a reward. Ja, da wird hier unser Charakter gleich richtig ausrasten, glaube ich, Alter. Das ist die sind da jetzt wirklich eigentlich die Sache, warum man das Museum dann auch schließen könnte. And I will reward you so graciously, so lovingly, that all these horrors will seem as only the memories of dark dreams on a bright and sunny morning, with ever increasing love and affection, Anna. Nur geht noch weiter.
Holy shit.
Ja.
I just don't know what to say. Gideon shot an unarmed prisoner like a dog, and Anna is sad he couldn't kill more? With ever-increasing love? This bitch might as well have been in the Klan. Fuck. Blackhaven has had this the whole time. They act like Gideon is a hero. I don't know if I can come back after this. But I have to get my recommendation for Greece. And it's way too late to find something that's gonna pay as much as the school, especially back home. Okay, I can read a couple more. If I don't turn this key in by 5, I'll be fired way before I can ask for my rec. I like this letterhead. I wonder what they wanted from Blackhaven.
Tidewater Negro Historical Association. An hier Mary Lambert. Dear Mrs. Lambert, my name is Dorothy Mitchell, and I'm currently the director of the Tidewater Negro Historical Association. I'm writing to formally request admission as a researcher in the library and archives of the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society. I have already conducted genealogical queries in nearby universities, and I have recovered evidence that connects my family history to the Blackhaven estate. You will find with this letter copies of 3 relevant documents. Erstens, an interview conducted by the Works Progress Administration in 1938 with my late grandfather Simon Howard. Simon had been a slave as youth in Western Virginia and recounted to a researcher that his grandmother Grace believed she was the granddaughter of the master of Blackhaven Plantation. Given her age, it is natural to believe she meant William Harwood, who, as you know, took possession of Blackhaven before building Oakmont after the storied Battle of Blackhaven. Zweitens, a newspaper advertisement placed in the Richmond Enquirer 1867 corroborating the interview. The ad, also placed by a Grace Howard, seeks the whereabouts of her father Rob's kin, in particular his long-lost sister. Grace also mentions Rob, a childhood memory of being born at Blackhaven and sold away with his mother. Drittens, a photograph of a curious artifact passed down through many generations of my family. It is a carving of what I believe to be a bird in African styling, possibly a Sankofa figure. I was told as a child that it had once been owned by Rob, a token from his mother to preserve her memory. I believe research time in your archives would allow me to not only learn more about my own family, but indeed the greater contributions of Afro-Americans to the history of Virginia. I will await a reply at your convenience and will be happy to furnish any additional credentials you may require. In addition, let me extend my warmest regards on your recent anniversary, Dorothy Mitchell. Das ist die Antwort. Achso, das sind jetzt die Belege. Kommentier the
I love this woman. Is it possible her family are really Harwoods?
Afro-American History of the United States from Miss Dorothy Mitchell, Director. Blackhaven Historic
Time
Plantation.
for Blackhaven to check in.
Dear Mrs. Mitchell, as it is customary for our institution to respond in writing to all requests for admission, I am replying to your letter of May 12th. Blackhaven is a professional, scholarly archive of the highest standard and does not casually admit amateurs to chase rumors based on hearsay. Frankly, your missive is so speculative as to represent an affront to common decency. Also, it is beneath the charge of this body, I am bound to respond to each of your insinuations and defend the honor of those who can no longer protest themselves. Okay, es wird hier, weil ich mir gefragt, warum ist eigentlich dieser Brief bei uns, aber das ist eine Kopie dafür. Stimmt. So gesehen macht schon ein bisschen Sinn. Allow me to be blunt. It is utterly preposterous to suggest that William Harwood seared a mulatto child outside the bonds of his marriage. William was an Episcopal minister, devout and prayerful, and known only for his mild temper and cool constitution. William's well-established and spotless character should have ended your inquiry before it began, but my further examinations have revealed damning inconsistencies in each of your examples. Erstens, in the interview transcript, Rob mentions that the family story that his grandmother would style her hair in the mirrors of the Blackhaven ballroom, and that the mirror was topped with a swan. Had you troubled yourself to visit our galleries on the third Thursday of each month when we welcome Necro-Visitors? Was, das Museum? Wann spielt denn das? Das spielt doch in der heutigen Zeit. Necros dürfen nur jeden dritten Donnerstag kommen. You would know that one of the mirrors survives in our collection and features no such swan decoration. The woman in question must have concocted the story from the wide repute of Blackhaven's famed seal. Zweitens, in the newspaper advertisement, Mr. Howard recounts that his grandfather worked in a mill along the Hickory Creek, but our period renderings of the estate show no body of water by that name, with multiple documents instead referring to Blackhaven Mill sitting next to the Nicholas Stream. Drittens, finally, I am distressed to report that one of our archaeological experts reviewed the photograph of your family heirloom and believes it to be a modern forgery. It is true that it shares many of the crude, primitive stylings typical to African art, but nothing of a similar appearance has ever been recovered in this area of Virginia. This piece is much more likely a modern fraud of a cheap sort commonly proffered in northern cities to appeal to the backwards-looking sensibilities of Negroes who embrace so-called black nationalism. For all these reasons, we cannot seriously consider your application for admission. We kindly ask that you refrain from replying so as to respect the time of our staff in dealing with serious scholars. With confidence, Rosemary Lambert, Director, Blackhaven Hall, Historical Session. Also, ist ein bisschen her, glaube ich, ne? Lambert war die Vorgängerin oder so. Ei.
Ugh, Rosemary, you cold piece of I'd be mad, but you're probably dead. And you're in a folder that's already full of lies. Maybe you're lying to Dorothy, too.
Information wanted of my family. On behalf of my father Rob, who is 87 years old, he was bred and born in Virginia and recollects being told that he lived on Blackwater Plantation just after the Revolution. He and his mother were sold away west when he was only a babe, and he wishes to inquire about his only sister, who he left behind. He believes that her name was Lizzie or Nancy, but he lost his mother so young he cannot remember. Any information of the above-named party will be very thankfully received by Grace Howard.
This is so sad. Rob, I hope you and your sister are together now and at peace.
Interview of Mr. Simon Howard, ex-slave, Richmond, Virginia, bei Deborah McDowell, 1937. Youth and family. I lived all my life near the mountains in Virginia. I was born in the 40s. I don't remember the year now that so many is past. When the war came, 3 generations of my family had lived under them hills. My mother's name was Grace, and she had a kind heart, but she never forgot nothing. So she would tell us children stories about family and the history of the state. She always took pride in knowing who the president was and would ask the master about him. Also, I remember she knew well enough not to ask master about President Lincoln, for it was an account of him that the war started. She told me that my grandfather, who was very old and no longer spoke in the time that I remember him, she told me that he had been born on Blackhaven Plantation. I believe his name was Robert, so I never heard him say it, but everyone on the farm called him Old Rob. She always told us he'd been born way back east along the coast and he and his mother been sold out to us when he was a meek infant. She told us lots of stories about her grandmother, Rob's mother, but never about his father. I could tell there was something sad about it. One time I was brave enough to ask, and she said she wasn't sure, but she believed that her grandfather, Rob's father, had been a white man, the master of Blackhaven. Yeah. But I never knew any more than that. Our master had some distant relation with the farm, but I believe now they call it Ogmund. My mother told me my great-grandmother remembered some of her life at Blackhaven, that her husband was a cooper or smith who worked next to the mill on Hickory Creek. He used to tell her that her hair was as soft as the moss that grew in the clear running water there. My great-grandmother had been working in the house before it burned down during the Revolution, and my mother said it was as fine a house as George Washington's. I think she liked telling us those stories because it made her feel like this was her country. Me and mine never felt that way. Wasn't ours for the war, wasn't when the Yankees came, ain't ours now, so I's glad to be free. Anyhow, my mother told me how before my great-grandmother would go to meet my great-grandfather, she would sneak and fix her hair in the ballroom mirrors of Blackhaven, these fine gold things that had swans perched atop them, was eben ja quasi als das war gar nicht so zurückgewiesen wurde. Then she'd walk all across the plantation and wait to see him outside the mill right after sundown, and they'd watch the last pink light shine on the river. My mother said her grandmother had loved the sunset, but could never take one in again once they sold her west. Felt too much like turning her back on her dear old man.
This is a lot of detail for someone this old. Simon doesn't seem confused, and Dorothy's letter is so careful. Look at her. She doesn't look like someone who wastes her time. Also, didn't she say there was a photo of a bird? Did Blackhaven hide that too? Ugh, if only I had a little more time to check. If I don't start walking to the office right this second, I'll never make it. Fuck it. I don't care if they know I snooped. Greece has been there for 3,000 years. It can wait a couple more. Dorothy, you and I are gonna get some answers.
Okay, es gibt mehr zu lesen. Contract between Solomon Harwood and Virgil Riley, Commonwealth of Virginia, Lancaster County. Articles of agreement made and entered into this first day of January 1868 between Solomon Harwood of the first part, Virgil Riley, freedom of the second part. The said party of second part agree and bind themselves to work for the said party of the first during the year 1868 on the appointed farm near Ogmund. Said Virgil Riley and with his wife and children are to work on said farms as before the war and cultivate 20 acres in corn and 20 in cotton, keep fences in good order, and do all other work necessary, and for their said services to receive 1/2 the cotton and 1/3 the corn raised, after all necessary expenses are deducted. Said Virgil Riley agrees to furnish themselves in provisions, clothing, medicine. His wife further agrees and binds themselves to do all the washing and ironing and all other housework necessary at the South Foreman's house during that year 1868. Said Virgil Riley furthermore binds themselves that they will obey the orders of Harwood in all things and do good labor 10 hours a day on average, winter and summer, with all lost time paid at the rate of $1 per day. In witness whereof we hereto set our hands and seals the date first above written, signed, sealed, and acknowledged Solomon Harwood, Charles Hugh, Justice of the Peace.
So even as a free man, Virgil and his wife are still picking the Harwood's cotton.
Okay, was haben wir hier? Augment Negro jailed for attempted murder. Williamsburg, 2. August. Augment Negro Virgil Riley is being held in a Gloucester country jail for an attempt on the life of the prominent planter and businessman Solomon Harwood. Harwood was drawn into an altercation with Riley when he attempted to collect on a delinquent debt. Riley had seized Harwood's revolver and fired a shot which struck him in the shoulder. Riley spins tale of woe. Speaking of the attempt on Harwood's life, Riley justified the violence. My wife has been sick going on a week and unable to do her work. Mr. Harwood had come to us demanding $1 a day for each she missed, and I told him this did not suit me. After 2 drought years, we didn't have that kind of money. He told me to move my wife from the cabin right away, and I replied it would kill her, as she was very sick. He said it made no difference, and that he would show me my place. He struck me with a strap and had me on the ground. I was afraid he would kill me, so I stole his pistol and fired only once. Harwood condolences in his grand house. Solomon Harwood sought to clarify the matter with resting under the care of his loving wife from Augment. Vigil once worked about as well as any Negro, but he has grown too comfortable in his position and has made a habit of indolence. His wife is bitter and preening, probably on account of too many years shared with a chicaning husband. I suspect his sense of purpose will be renewed now that he is to work for the county. Riley faces up to 20 years hard labor for his crime.
Every generation of these Harwoods is the same. Virgil was just trying to protect his wife, and now he won't see her for 20 years.
Was ist das? A Historical Catechism, Blackhaven Hall and Augment in Virginia by Benjamin Harwood. Who founded Blackhaven Hall and why? Nathaniel Haywood founded Blackhaven as a brave response to an Indian massacre of innocent farmers. He set an example that ingenuity and hard work would always lead to success in America. Nächste Frage. How did Thomas Harwood contribute to American independence? Thomas Harwood was a fierce patriot who wrote in defense of liberty and property and fought bravely at the Battle of Blackhaven. As a signer of the Declaration of Independence, he led Virginia in rejecting British tyranny. Nächste Frage. Was Blackhaven Hall unique in owning slaves? No, every British colony had slaves and servants, as did every other civilized nation. How were slaves at Blackhaven treated? The Harwoods had a reputation throughout the state as gentle masters, as cruelty would have offended their neighbors and limited their efficiency and profit. Okay. Who built Augment Plantation? William Harwood, a humble and kindly minister and the brother of Thomas Harwood. What was the cause of the war between the states? The disregard of the Northerns for the rights of Southern states. Was slavery the cause of the war? No, it was the denial of self-government to the South by the North. What did the South fight for? To repel invasion and ensure independence, just as Thomas Harwood and the founding fathers had done. Nächste Frage. How did slaves behave during the war? They were true and loyal, refusing to support the invading enemy. Most preferred to work the same lands even after the war. Why did Gideon Harwood fight in the war between the states? Gideon was sturdy and sweet, but could not allow the liberties of his countrymen to be infringed. What role did Gideon Harwood play in the war? Despite his station, he chose to fight as an infantryman, and after a spotless record of honorable services, gave his life for his country. What is the aim of the Blackhaven Ladies Association and the Catechism? To teach the true history of Blackhaven Hall, Augmont, and all Virginia to every growing boy and girl.
I gotta give them some credit. Nearly every one of these questions is disproved just by the stuff in this folder.
Alter, das ist so ein Spiel, wo man fast nur liest. Ne? Das hatte ich jetzt nicht so erwartet, muss ich zugeben. Monument Unveiling Beautiful, Confederate, Monument Honors, Heroes Who Wore the Grey. Inspiring address by Benjamin Harwood, the occasion marked by ideal water, a day of good cheer. Crowd estimated at from 1,500 bis zu 2,000. Augmont, Virginia, Thursday, 2. November. The marvelous speech to the crowd accepted below. I am so very humbled. Und wann ist denn das? Das kann man eigentlich so. And grateful to stand before you all today, the new director of the Blackhaven Historical Society, on this most historic of locales, to dedicate this noble gift from the Blackhaven Ladies Association, a monumental of bronze to honor the peerless sacrifices of our Confederate ancestors, who may now look down upon us from the heavens, ringed in celestial glory, now together forever with the Creator who but rests their cause. The statue before us is a mirror likeness of the valorous young lads, precious children at heart, but men by deed who struggled that we might not lose our honor, and no matter the bittersweet sting of defeat, when we now look upon ours, the greatest nation, we see that they succeeded. This figure would be modest on the cliffs of the Acropolis or on the facade of Notre Dame, but it is for us a true colossus that welcomes us safely into the harbor of freedom. And it is so small accident that it bears a resemblance to young Gideon Harwood, the favored son of Augmont, scion of the once great Blackhaven, the dearest husband of devoted Anna Harwood. Gideon, who born into every advantage, brought himself low and sacrificed everything for the most sacred of causes. Greater love has no man than this, that one laid down his life for his friends. These sweet, steady boys and the best fruits of our nation fought noble and true in the terrible war between the states. They fought for their homelands, for the toil of those in the fields, for the peace of the songbirds at dawn. They fought not like the Yankees, as a Yankee, for control, for meddling, for tariffs, for railroad barons and factory owners, but for unspoiled family farms, and even as they split the blood of the American brothers, did so only with fairness, dignity, regretful lament. So many mothers and children wept in those days for their loss. So many grandchildren and great-grandchildren now may weep for never having known such men as no longer walk among us. Just over the horizon of these hills lie the ruins of Blackhaven Hall, a relic from another age when such great patriots walked these lands, and in the cause that no free man should ever bow before a foreign tyrant, its unrivaled form was lost forever. Thomas Harwood once carried the banner of liberty, and Gideon Harwood died the same, holding an starry tapestry in his hand. And if I may dare to speculate on the unknowable designs of providence, we each are charged to carry on our own fight in the new century. The glory of the Anglo-Saxon race and its supremacy are daily affirmed by the works of our great nation, and even so, over 50 years ago, that natural and divine order faced its greatest challenge. The manifest deeds of godly white men stand atop the striving of all the world's people. It is said that the meek shall inherit the earth, and little could young boys like Gideon have known when they left the comfortable comforts of home for their humble duty, that they would make true the scriptures for us today. It is with only a fraction of the same nobility that I inaugurate this monumental to stand for all time. Ich hoffe mal, jetzt kommen nicht noch mehr Seiten mit so viel Text.
Mr. Johnson always tried to say in 7th grade history that monuments were about heritage, not hate. He needs to read what a monster war criminal murderer Precious Gideon Harwood was.
Congress of the United States, House of Representatives, Mr. Rosemary Lambert. Dear Rosie, I want to thank you so much for your warm hospitality at the Blackhaven Flag Day picnic 1959. Marjorie and I had a wonderful time, and our kids were absolutely tickled exploring the ruins. That bunch couldn't decide whether they were playing George Washington or General Lee, but they had a right good time. Of course, we also want to thank you and the Foundation for your continued support of our campaign. No matter what Judge Warren bei John F. Kennedy gab es ja die Warren-Kommission, ist das ein Zusammenhang? Has been fit to write, I am a tireless defender of constitutional government and state sovereignty and will work always to promote peaceful and prosperous separation between the races. Give my best to Martin and the girls, Frank Hamilton. P.S. Let me add, it was such a thrill to see old Charlie Harwood again. I told him that was the most fun I had since he and I cocked up together for the 29 Follies, and they say our people have no rhythm.
Okay, Dorothy. Rosemary was tight with the straight-up white supremacist, and we're supposed to trust her over you? No. We're gonna crack this.
Noch 1, 2, 3, 5 Seiten, wenn das hier wirklich realistisch abgebildet ist. Von Virginia Ecological Consulting. Dear Mrs. Lambert, this letter serves to confirm the mutual suspension of our contract for excavation. Das ist jetzt hier wegen Site 5, wo nicht gebuddelt werden durfte, ne? At the Blackhaven Hall Historical Site. As stated in our previous correspondence, we are more than willing to continue with the excavations at Site 5. Also, at this point, we find it extremely unlikely that we will be able to recover any material evidence from the Battle of Blackhaven given the returns from Sites 3 and 4. Nevertheless, we have already documented numerous significant findings about the lives of Blackhaven slaves at what we believe to be the near quarters, and believe further investigation could greatly benefit your museum and education program. However, we are bound by a recent ethics agreement with other peer firms to a very specific set of protocols regarding, wann ist das nochmal? Sieht man gar nicht. The excavation of human remains. As we reported in our previous letter, we stopped our initial dig at Site 5 when one of our contractors uncovered a bone we later confirmed to be a human clavicle, likely a male of African descent. Our ethics pledge requires us to immediately make a good faith effort to contract local descendant communities and to take any agreed upon steps toward repatriation of remains at the expense of the client. As you have declined to pursue this course of action, we are, as mentioned previously, invoking the mutual disclosure clause in our contract. Informally, as a colleague in heritage work, I would still implore you to take these steps on your own. We will still prepare your report for the already completed work and have that presented to the archive at the original deadline. Sincerely, Clarence Conway.
Oh my fucking god! Blackhaven covered up a slave burial ground? This wasn't even that long ago, just before Helen. Shit! Does she know about this?
Ist das ja schon kurz vor 10? Ja, offensichtlich weiß Helen davon. Alan Morris, Blackhaven Hall Historical Society von Norton and Page Associates. Meine Stimme wird schon langsam, ich habe leider nichts zu trinken hier, meine Stimme wird schon langsam schwach hier vom ganzen Vorgelese. Dear Mrs. Morris, I'm writing to summarize the findings of the summary judgment verdict rendered regarding Jennifer Harwood's claim to membership on the board of Blackhaven Hall Historical Foundation. As you are aware, all living direct descendants of Thomas Harwood or William Harwood are automatically granted the status of beneficiaries with regards to the Harwood Estate Trust. You will also recall that the previous settlement between Jennifer and the trust manager found that even though she had emancipated herself from Thomas and Linda following her time in rehab, she still maintained her status as a trust beneficiary and was entitled to the yearly dividend payment from the Harcorp Industries, the co-equal share of 10% of the annual corporate profits, as a result of the trust's initial investment in the company. Because the terms of the historical foundation bylaws are much vaguer than of the trust, we argued that Jennifer should not receive a place on the board, but the Judge Wallace has dismissed our lawsuit to prevent her from taking a seat. The judge made it very clear that any direct descendants can automatically claim trust benefits, the annual payment, and foundation board membership. While this outcome is disappointing, the judge also found that board members must be physically present to vote, and as Jennifer's last listed residence was still in Costa Rica, you likely do not need to concern yourself with the possibility in the near future. With very best wishes, Douglas Winters, Associate Attorney, Norton and Page Associates.
Wait, hold up. Any descendant of William gets a share of 10% of Harcourt profits? They're like a Fortune 500 company. Even if there's dozens of current descendants, that would be hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars. They've been trying to keep this from you for years, Dorothy. What if you're right? Forget researching here, you'd be running this place.
Helen Morris, dear Mrs. Morris, in regards to your previous letter concerning the Americans with Disabilities Act compliance of the Blackhaven Hall restoration project, yes, it is true that certain historic sites are eligible for exemption if they meet the established tests that compliance would threaten or destroy the historical significance of the site in question. Your argument that Blackhaven's long-established status as a ruin since 1781 would be imperiled by ADR-compliant accommodation is likely to withstand a challenge, particularly in our district court. But I am not sure this exception is truly in the spirit of the law, given the architectural character of your upcoming project. Nevertheless, I will await your instructions on how to proceed. Douglas Winters.
Can't ask the Harwoods to do even one simple good thing. Hold up. This is the bird Dorothy mentioned.
Mit diesen Zeichen.
I gotta say, it does kind of look like a robin, but also in an African style. And look at the pattern. Didn't I see that earlier somewhere around here? I need to go check.
Achso, ich kann auch gar nicht mehr weiter. Ja, ja, du hast das... Man hat das hier schon gesehen, ne? Achso, ich kann die alle öffnen. Mal reingucken, was hier an allen drin ist. Finden wir noch andere interessante Sachen. Ich meine, ich weiß, dass ich suche es, glaube ich, in der 4. Schublade von oben beim linken Schrank hier. Ach, jetzt hilft mir das Spiel sogar, oder wie? Na gut.
Yes, this one. It's the exact same design. Even the feel of it is the same. It's like the same person did it. And they found this in the slave cabins. That means Rosemary and Blackhaven lied to Dorothy about her evidence the whole time. You were right, you were right, you were right. Okay, but what about the next 2 objections? Rosemary said Simon's story was false because Blackhaven's mirror didn't have a swan. Isn't there a mirror in the gallery? Maybe I can figure out why it doesn't have a swan. I should also call my mom. Maybe she can check out some things for me.
Okay. Sollte doch nur 2 Stunden dauern, das Spiel. Ich lese so viel.
Hi, Mom. No, I'm not back home yet. I'm actually still at the museum. No, they're not gonna pay me overtime. They don't even know I'm here. Mom, I'm researching something and it could be really big. But I'm locked out of the internet and my phone doesn't get data out here. Can you see if you can find a contact number for a woman named Dorothy Mitchell? She's pretty old, but I think she lives in the area. Yeah, Mitchell with an M. I don't know if it has 1 L or 2, just try both. You can just email me from my work address if you find anything. Thank you. I'll call you from my desk when I finish up. All right, Mom, bye. Okay, I gotta go check the mirror.
Der ist das hier, ne?
Well, here it is again. There's definitely no swan. I wonder what other info Blackhaven has. Oh! Helen did say that they were going to be beta testing object scans. I wonder if I can scan for more info. Yes!
Und da steht jetzt gleich, dass da sowas drauf war.
Wait. This mirror was one of a pair? And they found the other? Ah! The swan! When Rosemary told off Dorothy, this hadn't even been discovered. Dorothy, you were right again. Your grandfather remembered. His mother, his grandmother, they remembered. Oh my God. She looked at herself in these shards. I can't imagine. Okay, There's only one more point left to prove. Let me go check my email and see if Mom found anything.
Kaum noch irgendwas Böses jetzt passiert. Ich meine, wo es so dunkel ist, ist es fast ein bisschen gruselig. Aber das sollte ja jetzt kein Horrorspiel noch werden auf die letzten paar Minuten.
I should see if my mom wrote back.
Kendra, I looked up this Mitchell woman. It seems like she had a truly incredible life. What does she have to do with Blackhaven people? It looks like she was into history. Unfortunately, it seems she passed a few years ago. I found her obituary and attached it below. I also tried looking for her on Facebook, and I believe I found her grandson Anthony. If he's still at the same place, I found his number as a number in an old phone book. It's blah blah blah. How's that for a detective? Come on. Gute Mutter. Call me when you are finished. I want to know what you are digging up on the job. Love, Mom. Arbitraries, Dorothy Mitchell. Dorothy Mitchell, 86, of Newport News, passed away peacefully in her sleep, surrounded by attending family September 14, 2004 at St. Mark's Hospital, Norfolk. Funeral services will be held Friday at 2 p.m. at the... Okay. Geht das nochmal weiter? Das könnte doch noch interessant werden. She was born am 17. Februar 1918, the daughter of Gregory and Eunice Howard. She married Sam Mitchell, a factory foreman and army veteran, am 17. Juni 1946. He passed away am 6. November 1992. Mrs. Mitchell was a beloved educator and civil activist, a long-time school teacher and the first black woman to teach in integrated county school. She was active in the civil rights movement, leading multiple voter registration drives and lecturing widely on Black history. Mrs. Mitchell was the founder and director of the Tidewater Black Historical Association and in the 1987 published the historical collection Tidewater Voices, Remembrance of Black Virginia. In 1992, she helped establish the Chesapeake Black Excellence Scholarship Fund, and in recognition of her effort, she received an honorary doctorate in 1998. Later in life, she was often fond of sending neighbor children home with vegetables from her garden. She is survived by her children, George Mitchell and Amelia Robinson, and her grandchildren Anthony Mitchell, Daniel Mitchell and Irene Johnston. Und Anthony Mitchell werde ich dann wohl jetzt mal anrufen.
Oh no, Dorothy. I guess you were older than it seemed looking at that picture. She didn't need the Harwoods' money, but the family needs to know she might be right. Anthony seems nice. Damn, can you imagine if he was at the next meeting with Helen? Alright, Dorothy. First, Blackhaven said you couldn't be a descendant from the Harwoods because the bird carving wasn't authentic. That's wrong. It looks just like Blackhaven's own pottery. Next, they said Simon's family was never here because their mirrors didn't have a swan. But oh wait, yes they did. Last, they say Simon had the wrong name for the creek at the mill. He said Hickory Creek. Blackhaven said Nicholas Stream. Ugh, how am I supposed to know what a creek was called 200 years ago? The model over there doesn't even show the river. Let me call my mom real quick and thank her. Hey Mom, thanks for sending that stuff along. Let me put you on speaker. Can you hear me?
Are you by yourself?
Yeah, Mom, of course.
So, what did you find out about this Mitchell woman?
Maya?
I'm not sure, but I think Blackhaven might owe her family some money. Like a lot of money. And maybe some other things.
Oh, did she do some work for them?
No, Mom, it's a lot bigger than that. But I don't want to say anything more until I'm totally sure. I just have to check one more thing before.
Ach, jetzt findet sie hier vielleicht.
It makes me wish I'd gone to hear her before she passed. Even the foundation name sounds familiar. Where have I heard that before?
Oder verrät die Mutter jetzt was dazu?
I'm gonna check this. Chesapeake Black Excellence Scholarship Fund. Here's their page. List of projects. Wait. Oh my god. They're the chief sponsor of Lee. Kendra, baby, do you know who this woman is? She paid for your scholarship.
What? Dorothy, you're the whole reason I'm even standing here.
You still there?
Yeah, Mom, that's crazy. Okay, Mom, I promise I'll check in just a bit. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, honey. Just call me back. And don't get into too much trouble. I can't be calling Grandma Daisy to bail my child out of jail.
Yeah, bye, Mom. Love you. Daisy! There was a map in the big house with the field of daisies. It might show the real name of the creek.
Ja.
Gotta go check.
Oh, jetzt nochmal durchs Dunkle. Gruselig.
I just need to run up to the house and check that map.
Darf man hier auch einfach durch die Mitte rennen? So, ich bin mir jetzt nicht mehr ganz sicher. War das ganz oben? Oder war das war da? Da sehe ich es schon.
Yes, here's the map. And it wasn't found until 2006, so Blackhaven hadn't even seen this when they told her Simon remembered the wrong creek. Okay, one last time. Dorothy thought her ancestors met at Hickory Creek, but Blackhaven said the only one with a mill was the Nicholas Stream. Let's see. There's a few little rivers here. Oh, I should use the key. Okay, stables, garden. Is there a Nicholas Stream? That's it. It's really there, on their own damn map. Hickory Creek. Dorothy was a better historian than any of them. She really should have run this place. She probably should own this place. It might literally be in her blood. Wait, they could test DNA now. The family could know for sure if they're really Harwoods after all. Anthony, oh my God, what am I about to drop on you? I gotta find a place with some cell service to call him. Maybe out front on the park bench.
Oh oh. Das ist auch der ungruseligste Ort. Irgendwas. Mal gucken. Ob das ein Happy End hat oder ob das irgendwie die Weißen bekommen am Ende immer, was sie wollen, Ding wird.
Whew, here we go. About to become Blackhaven's worst intern of all time. Come on, pick up. Maybe it's the wrong number.
Hello?
Yeah, hi. May I speak to Anthony Mitchell?
This is him.
Oder kommen die Credits?
Are you the grandson of a Dorothy Mitchell?
Who is this anyways? If you're with the charity folks, I have told y'all, you should not be calling me at home. The estate handles all of her donations.
No. Actually, I'm calling from the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society. And, Mr. Mitchell? We need to talk.
Credits. Okay. Cassio's coming soon. Aha. Ah, jetzt sieht man, wie es damals aussah. Und das gibt es dann auch ein Spiel. Okay, das war offensichtlich Blackhaven. Ich glaube, das war sehr unspannend als YouTube-Video. Wenn das irgendjemand bis hierhin gesehen hat, wird es nicht wundern. Dann gerne im Kommentar schreiben. Ich habe es bis hierhin gesehen, weil ich ja doch gefühlt 80% nur Texte vorgelesen habe, die ich gelesen habe. Aber spannende Sache, ich meine, es ist umsonst. Man lernt schon ein bisschen was. Ich habe jetzt nicht so ganz raus, wie viel jetzt hier fiktiv war, ob das jetzt alles fiktiv war oder ob da was dran war. Aber es zeigt natürlich schön dieses unter den Teppich kehren und ja, wie wir Geschichte so darstellen, wie es uns gefällt, und in der Hoffnung, dass es immer besser wird. Ich meine, bei uns in Deutschland mit unserem Zweiten Weltkrieg sind wir, glaube ich, hoffentlich in vielen Fällen ganz gut dabei, unsere Geschichte so zu zeigen, wie sie wirklich war, und nicht als unter den Teppich zu kehren. Da haben, glaube ich, andere Länder wie die USA, aber auch zum Beispiel Japan, was jetzt den Zweiten Weltkrieg angeht, glaube ich, noch mehr Hausaufgaben zu machen. Aber gut, das soll jetzt kein auf andere Leute oder andere Länder mit Fingern zeigen werden. Spannend, dass das offensichtlich von Schülern gemacht wurde, als Projekt oder so. Dafür war es jetzt schon beeindruckend. Und ja, war auch mal auf jeden Fall eine Erfahrung wert. Dieses Cassius werde ich mir vielleicht mal auf die Wishlist setzen, wenn es das bei Steam schon zu finden gibt. Das soll es gewesen sein für dieses Mal. Wenn euch sowas gefällt, Adventures, Walking Simulatoren und so weiter, dann gerne ein Abo da lassen. Ich spiele auch oft ältere Sachen, Sega Saturn, Playstation und aktuell auch recht viele Atari VCS-Geschichten, aber auch neuere Geschichten. Playstation 5, Playstation VR 2, Xbox, Switch und so weiter. Querbeet. Dann auch gerne ein Abo da lassen, aber muss auch nicht. Nur wenn es euch gefällt. Alles kann, nichts muss. Und in diesem Sinne, bis Dansen.